Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back for another Sci-Fi Shadow Chat. Tonight, going to do something a little different. Crafting Gamer is going to take the helm because this is his topic, and he's got a slew of questions for us. But before that, how you doing, Justin?
Pokemon.
Pokemon. All right, that says it all, doesn't
Never
it?
get into that card game.
Neither did I. I just
Yeah,
couldn't think of anything to say.
I've got some fond memories from the that whole thing from back in the day. We talked about it the other day. I used to referee the tournaments and that sort of thing because I was dating a woman who had a daughter that wasn't mine, and we used to play together, and it was sort of a bonding thing. And it was at Brooker's Hobbies, so I was going to be there on a Saturday, anyways. Unfortunately, the game room was taken up by that, but I'd pick up some minis or a book or something, and buy the little girl some cards, and then proceed to watch her enjoy kicking some butt. But that was a long, long time ago. I'm really surprised that it's still going. It's like what 30 plus years later, it's still kind of a thing. So never knew.
The company that makes Pokemon is active in keeping the community alive and vibrant, which usually leads to the health blood of a game.
Yeah,
Not
You'll
to mention
notice.
they're start.
Go.
Not to mention they're starting to make waifu Pokemon, which gets all the older men involved.
Okay.
Degenerate. They don't do that themselves though.
Right.
Have you seen Gardevoir?
Oh, the company actually has another product that is, but it's not.
Some of
It's
their
not.
Pokemon literally look like very, very female, very, very feminine. It's like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like, and the backstory is that particular Pokemon was created after a man on his deathbed said, "Create me a Pokemon that I could marry." 3 weeks later, Gardevoir appeared out of nowhere.
Okay. I don't want to know more about this.
I watch very strange things.
Yeah, well, you are TCG. You are a fat man in his corner. You really got to change
I
that
am in the
logo, man.
corner of the shed, actually, now that I think about it.
You really got to change that logo, bro.
Yeah, actually, I do. I need to change it to the crafting corner.
Yeah.
Well, what
Uh,
is your logo? I can't really see.
it's the roof of the two houses behind the green background. And it says the fat man's corner, and there's something underneath.
Oh,
Uh,
it says check out my Discord.
oh, you have a Discord?
Yeah.
And
First time hearing
we've got
about
another
it.
contestant. How you doing, Doc? Welcome to the show.
How goes?
Is it just me or is Shadow all robotic?
There's some
His
crack
voice
one.
is kind of red.
Could be. I did raise my mic volume.
Yeah,
It's like reverberating.
yeah. Lower it back down, bro, because
It's been one of those
it's just
days. I had a hell of a day.
you didn't go up in volume. You just got a crackle.
I just lowered it now. How about now?
No, it's still there.
All right. Well,
So-
screw you guys. This is what we're doing.
You don't sound quieter though.
Yeah, I'm like the Punisher. When I'm quiet, then you got to worry.
No.
So Doc, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How you guys all doing?
Pretty good. Had
Doing
a
good.
fun game with OGGM. Even though if you watch it, the first hour, I was on the road trying to use my brand new phone and Discord, which is absolute ass. It's weird because my old
You're
phone.
going in and out really bad now.
Yeah, you might want to drop out, drop back in, kind of thing, or something.
It's the audio's cutting in and out, and it's like reverberating really heavy.
Yeah.
How about now? Any better?
No, no.
Yeah, same thing.
Well, screw you guys. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, so while we're waiting for him, what
Justin,
are we?
crafting. How goes, gentlemen?
It was good.
Oh,
I'm getting fatter by the second because I had a couple candy bars brought home.
There you go. Gotta get ready for the winter. Put on a
Yeah.
nice layer. I'm doing that myself.
How about now?
oh,
There you go.
Much better.
normal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my Discord thing today. My old phone, I could use Discord all the time, no problem whatsoever. But this new one, I don't know. Maybe it's got a
A raven.
yeah. I don't know. It just I ended up having to just go on to YouTube and play through the chat, which at least until I got home, and then it was fine. But that was fun. It's always fun. Um,
I don't know. You can
Jack
probably look up.
Monday, which is kind of a drag. We were up late last night filming clips for his new web series, and that sucked ass too because I had to wear the gray mask with the tubes sticking out, and he had adjusted some things. So one of the tubes is just like shoved into my cheek, and my freaking nose is bent sideways like Owen Wilson. But it came out. It came out the way he wanted, and I was glad to help. It'll be up pretty soon. You know. Speaking of which, though, he is looking for some voice guys to do a couple of one lines here, one lines there, in various accents. So if any of you guys want to immortalize yourself in his thing, he'd be happy to have you. He's not looking for full on professionals. You just got to read like one or two lines in a particular accent or another, and he'll be happy as
Baby.
not that accent, not that accent, but
It's
your
the only
other,
accent I do any well these days.
your other accent, he is actually looking for someone which would be kind of
What other accent?
German.
I don't. Do I ever do German?
No, you don't. But it would be funny as hell.
Yeah, I can't. I can't hold it out. That's why.
Yeah, I don't really do accents either.
Not in the accents that you don't do German, but
But he needs a Brit, a German, a Russian. I wanted him to get a Vietnamese girl to do the gray aliens. I thought that would have been just hysterical. Not in a racist way, just because the language. If you've ever heard that comedian who does the nail salon thing, every time I hear it, I just hear gray alien, and she's funny as hell. But it just as opposed to the usual like really NPR sort of almost British accent they always do the gray aliens in all kind of
No.
Ross.
What you need to do. What you need to do for the Grey
Just have them
Aliens?
done in German.
Well, as I was about to say, have Justin suck down helium and play them in a horrible German helium accent.
No, because I don't do German, and I don't do helium either because that's degenerate.
Drugs are bad, folks. Stay away from them. It's funny. I've been noticing a trend with a lot of
And
people
expensive.
I know.
you don't want to pick up the helium habit.
A lot of people I know and
You
people
can kill
I
yourself
don't that I
very
watch
easy
on
doing that.
YouTube have decided to give up the old caffeine. I was really amazed when I heard. You guys know my favorite YouTuber of all time, Salty Cracker. He's given up caffeine as well. Not like he needs it. If you've ever seen his show, but I was like, wow, dude, right on. I looking back on caffeine and just I'll never go back.
I could never caffeine.
You can never give it up.
Well, half the most of the medicine I take for my migraines is mostly just huge amounts of caffeine, and my head would cave in if I stopped taking that.
I had that same issue when I was on Flexeril, which is a muscle relaxer, and I was on Flexeril for like a decade, and it was funny because it wasn't just for like the same thing, I had a back injury, and they put me on it, and then my back injury got better, and then I had a stomach issue, and they gave it to me.
You know what really helps for that? Is the Flexerol? Is mescaline?
Yeah, it doesn't mix well, especially with alcohol. Every muscle in your body will be relaxed.
I don't think he knows what mescaline is.
No, I do.
Look at that beard. He clearly knows what Mexican
Yeah,
is.
one of these
Yes,
days
he
I'll
clearly
tell you-
knows what Mexicans are.
I'll tell you a little interesting tale one of these days when we're not broadcasting, to the millions of people who watch this show.
Trillions.
Yeah.
Get
Yes,
it
yes.
right. Trillions.
Yes, because the great aliens and all their cohorts are also listening to it. The lizard people, the Atlanteans, and
Taco
all
Bell
of the
employees.
spirits that are coming on.
Don't you know, Shadow? It's exactly like Futurama. Out there somewhere, thousands of years from now, some alien will be watching all of this and then gets pissed off when something goes wrong with the channel and they can't watch it anymore.
Yep. I can only hope.
Yeah, that audio bug he just had just killed the entire human race.
Yeah.
You fucking asshole.
Can't help it.
It already happened.
Again, if any of you guys want to help Jackie out with his project, you can find us on Discord, or you can hit me up here or whatever. You guys all know how to get a hold of me. And
All I've got is this and what used to be good stage Irish. It's probably crappy stage Irish now because I let it slide.
let's hear some of it.
Hey, Justin, you down? See here. Justin, you daft.
Why are you talking to me, bro? What did I ever do to you?
Fine. I'll go after Shadow and his wee little beard. I'll pull it down and slam his face against the rocks. And then I'll slap him right across the face because he's nothing but a damn boyo. It sounds kind of forced 'cause it's been a little while since I've done it. That was a little forced, I'll admit.
This is the thanks I get. This is the thing. You see this shit? I bring him on the show. I give him the driver's seat. And this
You're
is the
supposed
shit
to
I
keep
do.
going after me, bro.
No, that was not bad.
Yeah.
There's a couple specific people he has planned for specific things, but right now he's like at his wits' end because he's got 1.5 days before he has to go back to school. Not like he can't do stuff after school. He's got like 5 or 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday after school. What's up, George? Welcome to the show. If you want to pop in and talk about the topic, you know where the link is. It'd be nice to have you back in the show again.
Do you think we'll ever start the topic?
What is the topic?
The topic is trade and manufacturing in sci-fi RPGs.
The thing we were supposed to do like a month ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a couple ways you could go with that. You could do the Hitchhiker's Guide thing where everything grows somewhere, like the ratchet screwdriver tree.
Oh.
Yeah.
Although I imagine most industry, unless you're talking about really big complex machine, you're probably just going to have a whole hell of a lot of home 3D printing for things.
All right, George, we'll goof off for a few more minutes and get you in here. And TCG, nice job on the questions. I checked them out. Really, really good.
I've selected 5 questions with 2 of them having follow-up questions.
Cool.
Hey, wow, trip out. Long time no see, Kai. How you doing, brother?
Guy.
I suspect we will not get that many questions.
Yeah. No. We will be lucky to get one.
Fair.
Yeah.
Have you been on this show before? It's been nearly 15 minutes and we haven't even started yet.
That's the standard bill of fare. We're not all business here. We can goof off for a bit. Like I said, I'm going to give George a minute to get his camera set up, and then we'll go off and do the thing.
I will trade and manufacture a topic.
Glad to hear it, Kai.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like just about everybody I know, like Shadow is one of the few. Like Shadow, Justin, and I think James is one of the only. I don't know much about what's going on in Doc Flamingo's life that I know for a fact isn't having life just kick him right in between the balls right now.
That's pretty common.
Yeah,
I think that's standard.
Not kicking me in the balls, but definitely kicking my ass. Justin will tell you, like the last 3 or 5 shows, I have just barely come in under the wire or a little bit late. I give myself X amount of time right before the show to get ready, which is like 15 minutes. But I'm usually you can almost guarantee 15 minutes before the show I was in a coma. I had a really nice dinner, but it was just asses and elbows all day trying to do. Hey, what's up, Raven? Doing all
Yeah.
these things before the show, and then dinner rolls around, and I'm like
Yeah.
in the snooze land. I got a whole hour. I feel like Londo Mollari in Babylon
Oh,
5. You
Mondo.
can have an hour of freedom. Okay, I'm going to sleep. That's it.
The best Malari. The best Londo. The best
Yes.
Londo.
Yeah,
All
I've
other
been working
Londos suck.
Saturdays for a month straight now. It's kicking my ass. They're turning chicken genocide into a job. Used to be fun to slaughter chickens.
Okay.
Oh.
Um,
You work at a poultry plant. My brother did that job for a while.
They're taking all the joy out of chicken murder.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say to that, man.
I
I,
hate
I, I
chickens. Death to chickens.
Oh, I love chickens. They're great on the plate.
yes, yes.
I actually have not eaten chicken since I started working there.
Uh,
It
no,
Really?
I'm just saying, if I worked at a poultry plant, I'd only eat chickens I killed myself. That way I would know how well they were killed. Just because I assume you see all the really crappy shit that goes on.
Yeah, I named
Oh.
this one Bob right before I broke his neck.
Woohoo! I put my sins into this one.
God damn, that's brutal.
Although we actually gassed them.
With Cyclone B.
Although there is a guy, and I'm so glad I don't have this job. There's a guy there with like an X-Acto knife after they come out of the rack to like make sure they're dead. He's literally just slitting throats all day long.
Oh. So this was before I got into my politics, but my brother worked at one, and it was a kosher plant. So they had the rabbi, and they could only like live kill them and make sure nothing got into the wound. So yeah, there was no gas at that plant.
Oh, they just straight up like decapitated him.
Yeah, and they had to make sure the decapitation was like no feathers got into it, or they would get discarded.
That's
It's got to be the most painful way to kill an animal. The way they choose to do it, make sure it's clean. You can't see me putting quotation marks around that. But fucking barbaric.
Yeah, kosher and what's the
Halal is just kosher but renamed.
yeah.
yeah.
Just
I was gonna say
a different prayer group, and usually they will eat each other's food because it's the same basic practice.
yeah. When I heard how that's done, I'm just like,
Well, kosher is the exact same way.
right. It seems awful, just awful. But it seems awful painful. I mean, what's wrong with just
Well,
doing it?
pain makes the meat taste better. Didn't you know that? The
Well, yeah, I
agony and
suppose the,
fear.
the, adrenochrome could exist in
The
animals.
adrenochrome, yeah, it's exactly what it is. Adrenochrome.
Except now they have artificial fear sauce you can put on it, so it's really
Yeah,
unnecessary.
it's like liquid smoke.
That's just awful,
New
guys.
French's terror.
Well, moving right along. No,
Hey, we're talking about manufacturing and supply.
Okay. All right, I'll allow it.
Technically, this is a manufacturing process.
You're manufacturing chicken nuggets and chicken tendies. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Because your space going characters gotta eat something, and what were those things? Pop'ems or something in Futurama, the little living chicken nugget
What?
things.
The poplars.
Poplars, yeah.
Oh
It's,
man,
it's they're
that
young.
Omicrons, it turned out to be.
Yeah, it's they're young. Yeah,
Yeah,
and chicken nugget factories absolutely look like that one video that was going around about a decade ago. It is absolutely not a Hubba Bubba plant.
Just as an insider, never eat chicken nuggets.
Yeah, because it's exactly
chicken nuggets.
it's exactly like the Hubba Bubba plant.
Say no to
Uh,
chicken nuggets.
No,
I can't remember.
I'm just saying you say no to chicken nuggets not because of what goes into the meat, but because they charge that much for that. So here it's $15 for 20 of them, which is like probably 50 cents American. Still too expensive.
Well, that's why you got to cook them yourself.
Yeah, it's still too expensive. Making chicken strips is not that hard. You
No,
just
it's not.
take a chicken breast and slice it thin, and then bread it and pan fry it. It's a lot better.
In bacon grease.
Chicken grease. Yeah, you could do that.
I said
So
bacon
Jordan
grease.
said, go ahead and start
Yeah.
without him. So we're going to do that when he, pops in. I'll bring him in, and he can just catch up, so to speak, unless we're like halfway through. We'll just take it from there. So TCG, take it away. Let's hear the questions you got for us.
Well, interesting enough, we actually, given the fact we were talking about big corporation manufacturing, we segue right into the first question. Are there in-game factions, corporations, or guilds that control or regulate trade and manufacturing?
They try to. But yeah, I would do that. You
A huge amount of it will depend on exactly how fast your FTL is. I mean, if it's can be done very quickly, you can have these huge like multi-stellar like corporations that easily
conglomerates.
operate everywhere. If it takes any real length of time, you're going to have very localized enterprises.
Well, I could see corporations trying to anyway. It'd just be easier for local factions to skirt those policies.
Probably if it's long FTL, it's probably you're more getting into the shipping guilds that are the bigger deal
Yeah,
than more so than the manufacturers.
yeah. Well, like I could see like companies trying to either you could easily work a game around like a company sabotaging other systems manufacturing, so they're forced to import goods from them, or like a trade federation suing over. You just have like a courtroom drama again. We were talking a couple episodes ago. It's just nothing but like courtroom dramas about companies suing other companies for making similar products.
Space contract law, the role playing game.
Which we will be coming out with. Patent pending, concept reserved, all that legalistic language. My lawyers will be in touch. That's the tagline to the game. My lawyers will be in touch. The RPG.
All right, Shadow, you've been kind of quiet. Do you have anything to say on this?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to throw in a little, that four-letter word in RPGs, that bureaucracy, as well as um, smuggling. There's a reason why smuggling exists, because you got those middlemen in there trying to stick their hands into everything, and the whole world, as they say, hates middleman. So turn the players into them.
Yep. Which are just another class of middleman.
Exactly, exactly. But
Also, the nature
undercutting
of the FTL.
undercutting the bureaucracy. I'm always a big fan of that.
If you have like a gate-based FTL, then all of a sudden things are also very different because things can be everything can be inspected potentially.
Yeah. And that's what we're going for in Shadow's shared.
Okay, so that
universe.
complicates things unless it's like possible
Well-
to make illegal ones that they don't necessarily
Yeah.
know about. Or how like
Well-
complex is the system? Is it something that can only
Yeah.
be done by a huge government? Can you make your own small one?
I think
Well,
we're
that
getting really
actually-
big to limit the roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. TCG,
That
go.
actually segues right into the next question. I'm going to try to do a more of a round robin so we don't have quite so chaotic of a discussion. Justin, we'll start with you on this one. How is trade? Sorry, I'm a slow reader, so I just tried to read.
Yeah.
How is trade coordinated between planets, star systems, or factions?
Well, consistently, as long as you use the same method consistently. But still, in real life, we have many different ways of doing that. So there probably would be like, is it just somebody picks up goods somewhere because you have free haulers? Free haulers still exist. That just buy whatever they want, move it to another location, and try and sell it. Um, they were more common during the age of sail than they are now, but you can still do that. Or you have big conglomerates that like deliberately move things according to massive algorithmic plans and things like that, right? So, and then you get like other systems, but I don't know how would you guys do it. I really haven't thought about it. So,
do you need me to repeat the question?
no. Who's next?
Oh, I was asking Shadow. Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was doing something. Sorry, I got distracted. Can you read the question off again? I should just
How
pull them
is
up.
how is well? I have them I don't have them in the same order that they were listed for you. I have them.
Oh, okay.
How is trade coordinated between planets, star systems, or factions?
Uh, Gosh, it really depends on. For me, it depends on the specific game details. Are the players smugglers, or are they part of something bigger? And then it'll depend on what they are transporting, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can throw a little bit more detail. If it's like the cure from that episode of Firefly, where it's really expensive and highly guarded or something like that. If there's some way I could throw in some sort of conflict or danger in the transporting of it, I want to take advantage of that, so that there's so it's not just another milk run. I've run
Mm-hmm.
games like that in Traveler where it's just milk run after milk run, and it didn't get fun until they start trying to transport something a little shady, or something a little risky, or even potentially dangerous. That it gets fun. Otherwise, it can turn into more of a spreadsheet game. And despite what most people think about Traveler, that's not the end all be all of Traveler. You can run entire games where there is none of the commerce, the buying and speculating and that sort of thing. It really depends on the group, what they're into. If that's what they want to do, cool. But what if they don't? Then don't just shoehorn them into the same old, because then it's really just a job that you're role playing,
Yeah.
and nobody wants that.
Can I intercede one thing?
Sure,
If you're playing a game with milk runs, the milk run happens between the sessions, not during.
should should.
Yeah, because what are you fucking role playing then? Office work? Like,
You'd be surprised how many people, especially back in the day, in like the late
yeah.
'70s, early '80s. That's what that was fine. Because a lot of them were either you know too young to actually have had that kind of job, or they still could picture themselves at the head of the helm of the starship, and all the other things that were going on in their head. They were just fine with the you know buy low, sell high, and
Yeah, but you do that during the session. You are returning from the milk run at the beginning of the session, and you're heading out to it at the end of the session. You play the
should
things
be.
where there's actual drama going on.
Yep,
But
I
yeah,
agree. What's up, Cal? Long
I
time no
guess we
see,
can move
brother.
on to Doc.
All right, Doc, can you need me to repeat the question?
The way I would probably handle it is, for instance, like materials, raw materials are probably almost never transported between systems because you're always going to have plenty. And simple finished goods, probably the same thing. So I would probably limit interstellar trade to like high value things, things that
Exotic
are
items.
really worth going through the effort and expense of transporting. And a lot of it will be data. A lot of it won't even be finished goods. A lot of it will be like,
Plans.
TV shows from Tau Ceti and stuff,
Yeah.
and very like expensive finished goods, artwork. A lot of it's going to be very esoteric stuff that people are going to be willing to pay extreme
Well,
top dollar for, because all the other stuff, the basic day to day stuff, is probably always going to be fairly localized. It's
I
not
could
going to be worth transporting at long distance,
I could
except in
see
huge bulk, perhaps.
I could see like a cargo of like 2 million tons of Andurian oak wood or whatever, right? Like
Yeah,
just
stuff that
like
only grows in one system. Maybe
yeah,
very specialized medicines. They can only be made by like a
yeah.
couple companies, things like that. So I would probably limit it to all very fairly small volume, high value cargo.
hmm but things like we would take as rarities now, like high gems or things like that. Those are the same everywhere. Like 'cause
Yeah,
that's a matter of
it's going to be
pressure and
easier to source that locally in almost every case.
yeah.
Unless you're talking about like massive, gigatons of certain things that they need
No.
somewhere. But that you'd be talking about fleet
You
movements.
wouldn't
That
be importing iron, for
yeah,
example, because like
yeah, it's
that's already
everywhere.
there. Yeah.
Of course, then you
Uh,
also get into a lot of like weird regulations. There's probably all matter of controls in place, so that
mhm,
opens a lot of opportunities for doing things illicitly.
yeah.
Sorry, George. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
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 Cool. Oh, I guess it's not working. Sorry about that.
No worries,
Are
man.
you trying that camera app I told you to look into?
Yeah, I have camo and I set it up and I
Is
can
it?
see
It's on your
myself in.
phone and it's on your computer,
Yeah. So I have my
and
phone
both of them
kind
are
of jerry
turned
rigged
on.
here, and both are
Is it
on,
plugged
and I
in?
can. The phone's not plugged in because it's right now. I can I'll probably have to find a spot for it, but it's pretty fully charged.
No, it's not about
Um.
charging. It just works better when you have like a hard line over Wi-Fi.
Oh, I see. Hmm. Well, I am seeing the connection. Like I am seeing on their app my image, but I don't want to slow the show down by with the technical stuff. So you guys keep going.
All right.
TCG, bro.
Well, we can still hear you, George. So, do you want us to move on to question 3, or do you want to answer question 2?
Oh yeah, you guys were saying about the sort of kind of the trade stuff can get bogged down with like spreadsheets and stuff. Totally agree with that. And sometimes you get that guy in your group that loves that stuff. Like we have a guy in our group. He's like a math professor, and he just loves all those things. And he's kind of really into that kind of things. Like, and it's not it's this is our OSR group, but he's the guy who loves sitting there fiddling with the map and making the map and trying to make it perfect and accurate. And he kind of sometimes it's if you have the right player, you can give them that stuff and they're happy. you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a follow up to this question. I forgot this one.
Whoa.
While you're doing that, I'm going to read off Chimerian's question. You can look into the idea of a central system that handles smelting of quality and scale that you couldn't get with more local production, feeding a major manufacturing hub where ore and basic materials might be hauled in with massive quantities. Okay, that's
Yeah. That goes to once again how fast your travel system is. If it takes like a year for cargo to get there and then refined goods to come back, nobody's going to do that because that's like 2 years you're waiting for an ingot of iron. Um,
Yes. Which
but if it's like 20 minutes and then 20 minutes back, and however much time it takes to smelt the stuff, people will do
you
that.
guys are pretty good at segueing into the next question, because the follow up question to number 2 was, are there established trade routes, and how do players interact with or influence them?
Once again, that depends on your method of transportation. and what kind of regulatory bodies you have, right? Like, the only reason why we have trade routes across the ocean are flight lanes is regulation, mostly so we know where to go looking for ships if they go that they don't show up on time, or where to start, like where it's safe for planes to fly over without like crash landing in the middle of a city or something, right? Anything like that. Um,
Yeah.
but in space, I think there's less worry about a starship landing on a city. But then again, FTL ship slamming into a planet, you say bye bye to planet, right?
Yeah.
So
All right.
Yeah,
Doc,
any
do
high
you,
thrust drive is also a weapon of mass destruction if you choose to use it
yeah.
in that manner,
yeah.
or something stupid happens.
Yeah. So, do you need me to repeat the question, Doc, or
Well, yeah, give it to me again.
are there established trade routes and
Okay, yeah.
yeah, sorry, I got
Uh,
that right.
I
Established trade
think
routes, and how do players interact with them or influence them?
I think by and large there's going to be, just because the expense of moving stuff is probably going to be in a lot of cases too high to just like grab something and, oh, maybe I can unload this, unless it's something super valuable. So it's probably going to be fairly standard. Although of course it can fluctuate with, as technology and availability changes. But I think it would probably be pretty standardized. You'd set up routes. Okay, these people need this. These guys want this, and you'd probably like have most people would probably have a regular pattern of things they picked up in one place and dropped off in
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
Scheduled shipping, like trade routes, would be a corporate thing. Like, it depends on, does your government regulate a route, or does your corporation, like, so say if I owned a ship but I was independently owning it, I could just pick up whatever I wanted, wherever I wanted, and go where I felt interested in going, right? But if I worked for a company, they would regulate that, because it's maximizing profits more than like wanderlust. You can be like a wanderlust person and own a cargo ship,
Take care,
right?
Kai. One of these days, gonna have to have you back on the show.
Yes, Kai.
It was good seeing you again, man. So to speak. You know what I mean?
And that's another thing. If you get into smuggling, if a lot of cargo is actually
Yeah,
just data, there's probably all sorts of very strict regulations of how it's distributed because of
yeah.
licensing and things, and that could be an
hmm
interesting smuggling project. Bringing things to places that aren't paying the licenses and like don't have clearance to get them.
Well, like, one of the best covers for a smuggling ship is to operate as a
To be an
normal
actual
ship, right? Like, 95% of my cargo is actual cargo that's on the books, and the other 5% is illicit, right?
Yeah, especially if you're dealing stuff that takes up very little space but is of extreme value.
hmm
Yeah.
Uh,
George.
George. George is still
George
having technical
McDonald?
problems.
Sorry, I'm back. Yeah, one of the things is like with the trade routes is you kind of got to assume that somebody else is dealing with those goods. Like that's the common good that there's probably going to be some kind of space truckers or something dealing with that.
hmm
So that might not necessarily like it's part of like the verisimilitude and all that kind of things, like where it's sort of you're sort of filling in some niche gap is the one thing, and also just trying to just figure with your players what's there something they might be interested in, and just kind of add that. You don't have to always go by the the mechanical rules of what this planet has and that planet has. I had one thing where there was like a chef on one of the games, and he had one of his things was like trying to get meats and things like that, and kind of work it out with the players.
hmm Well, also, like, it that would depend too on how good's your faster than light communication, right? So unless you have like a long term shipping contract with the same world, and you know that you know the Federation of Bebop wants the same thing every 6 months, no matter what's going on, right? Um, like Doc said, you're moving a TV show, and you have the contract to move Space Friends at the end of every season to another planet. Well, obviously they're going to want the next season next year, right? So, uh,
Another thing that might be
yeah.
interesting from a cargo perspective are passengers, especially from specialized professions, especially if you have like things like terraforming going on or
Mhm.
like newly open system where there's a lot of mining going on, trying to find like skilled workers in sufficient
Well,
number to transport could be extremely valuable in of its
well,
business
something
in
that
of
has
itself.
already been suggested to be practiced in space during long haul transports is treating personnel if they can do hyperspace type shit, like more like cargo than actual people.
Well, we already do that. It wouldn't be a.
Oh yeah,
We call them passenger liners.
fair. All right, Shadow, do you need me to read the question?
No, no, no. I was amazed that nobody hit my response, which I'm really glad. Obviously, otherwise I'd be stuck here going next question. One of the things I like about trade routes is,
Piracy.
thank you. There's always a place. There's some bend, some fork in the road, some perfect location where you're going to have the bad guys try to waylay the good guys, so to speak, and try to board the ship or take the ship or whatever. Without such things, your space encounters uh, become a little monotonous. You've got to have that element of danger. Sure, there's the hijackers from within trope, but I really like having you know good old fashioned, as ridiculous as it may seem, because of how space combat really wouldn't be the way we picture it in all the TV shows and movies. I'm still going to go that route because
It
it's
looks
just more
cool.
fun and exciting, and visually in your mind it works as opposed to the realities of what space combat would be like. And mind you, they don't want to destroy the ship, although maybe that is in fact the case this time. The bad guys just want that ship destroyed at any cost, but it throws in the excuse for danger and combat.
Hmm.
Well, anytime you have like commercial shipping, you're going to have some form of piracy is going to crop up because
Mhm.
there's
Yep.
money to be made there.
We still
It's
have it even in the modern era.
we have more of it now than we ever have in the past. The golden age of piracy had nothing on the pirate level of piracy we have going on now.
Kind of true, yeah. I guess it depends on where you're
Mostly
going,
on the
but yeah.
volume of cargo, though, not the number of ships hit. It's mostly on the volume of cargo.
But
Um,
that's still you know
yeah.
something to be said for the dangers that can still be brought into your game.
You guys love segueing, I swear. Question 3.
No.
I'll start with Shadow. What is the main challenges or threats to trade, such as piracy, political conflicts, or natural phenomena?
Well, for me, I'd say the main one would be anything that would uh, make you lose part of or all of your profit margin, whatever that is. Depends on the exact campaign, I guess. But
Hmm.
because if it was me, if I had to say what I think it would probably be in the loss prevention department where you have your own employees. Oh, this fell off the truck, this fell off the boat, and into my pockets, kind of thing. But I would still go back to for a game, I'd make it piracy.
Piracy. I would go with like you're moving into a system, you're bringing goods there, and then the docking port starts slamming you with hidden fees, and then they start taxing you on goods, right? And the next
So
thing
you've
you
been playing
know,
in Bo's game, haven't you?
No, but you know that's a trope in literature that you get that one system that's literally trying to kill itself. Like I understand tariffs, you have tariffs, but when they reach more than the cost of shipping the good or whatever, uh, you know, what's the point of shipping to a place that you can't get any profit out of, right? But yeah, you could do a lot with bureaucratic fuckery as well, not just piracy. Piracy leads to a lot of drama.
Mhm.
And honestly, if you're dealing with a system that is like a solar system or a local government that's charging you out the wazoo for moving goods into it, that's when you get people coming in through piracy, right? Because there are more than one reason to move goods illegally, and you know sometimes it isn't because the item is restricted in the area, but because the cost of bringing it into that area is just too expensive through regulation, uh, which actually happens more often than it's illegal to bring that good here. The tax on bringing that good here is too high. You know?
Also, depending on how centralized your factions are, there could be a great deal of corporate warfare and sabotage along shipping lanes. And if you don't have faster than light communications, situations can change on you very suddenly. Where all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're bringing something in that was worth it was a gold mine for the last 3 years, and all of a sudden now they don't need it, and you're stuck with all this crap, trying to desperately figure out where you can unload it. And not going
Trying
to
to
work.
offload enough of it to get fuel to take the rest somewhere else. Uh,
Well, the only one who has to
yeah.
answer is George.
Yeah, I'm kind of on with Justin. It's piracy kind of is, it's stealing basically. You're just stealing on the high seas or in space, and smuggling. There's some illicit goods that are like, like vice goods, like drugs and things like that. But there's also tariffs and avoiding tariffs, and it just sort of gives you a way to play as the good guys. And the other thing I guess could be is besides piracy would be like reclaiming things, reclaiming like just getting back stolen items is sort of another trope that you can kind of keep the players that are the good guys who want to play as good guys. And I think kind of bad guy campaigns can just get boring after a little bit and just uncomfortable to play. So be playing as
Never.
the good guy,
Lies.
like playing
If
as the
you
good
aren't
guy is
selling slaves, you aren't doing it right.
so yeah.
Space Repo Men could be a very
Oh.
interesting game.
Uh,
No, so no one else touched on this, so I
we're
definitely.
playing that someday. Someday we are playing Repo Man, the space game. Sir,
You can do
your
that.
ship has been impounded by order of the financial house of brothers and brothers.
I think there's a module for Traveler that you actually are the repo man on the spacecraft. I think it's the
that
high
sounds
and
like it has
dry
too much work
one or
to
something.
it.
Life of a
It's
Repo Man is
got to be a
always
newer
interesting.
one, George. I'm not familiar. I should say
Um,
I'm more familiar with the
I
original, like 18.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a newer one. I remember watching, like trying to learn about Traveler. That Seth Sorkowski guy, he has a video where he kind of reviews modules, and he was talking
Right.
about the high
Yeah, he
one
does
that was
great
called
I haven't
High
stuff
and
seen one
on
of
Dry.
his
that.
videos in forever, though.
You know, Seth Sarkowski made his YouTube channel to promote the books he wrote.
Yes.
No, I just bring that up every now and then because I watched his channel for like 3 years before I learned that.
Yeah, they were his
Well,
first videos, and then
Yeah.
he found out the inevitable truth that most people don't care.
No. He just it wasn't that. He just never he kept forgetting to do it. Well, at least that's what he said in a like history of the channel thing not too long ago.
well,
Yeah.
I will
I
touch
like
on
his
this
little.
question quick because nobody else touched on it,
Yeah.
which is perfectly illustrated in Rick and Morty. Everything's in space, Morty.
Everything since
So,
space.
Yeah.
so you
Space
should always
chicken.
you should always have some sort of, well, not always, but you should always have the possibility of some sort of phenomenon. Not necessarily Star Trek level of bizarre, but natural storms that players will either want to risk going through to get away from somebody, or will have to go around adding time to their route,
Yeah.
or it could be a phenomenon just as strange as Star Trek, where they get enveloped by this strange smoke and they have to like figure out how to modulate part of their
It's
shield.
called an energy
force it
cloud.
away.
Get it right.
Okay, energy cloud.
If it doesn't involve an energy cloud, it's not an episode of Star Trek.
Okay, that is fair.
Also, if you have like a hyperspace or wormhole based FTL, there's anything could potentially be going on there.
Yeah.
So you could have all kinds of like basically like weather effects that take place there that you might have
Space
to
whales.
And also, like if you're hiding from people, like a lot of systems, especially around blue stars, you're gonna have like really intense radiation and solar winds that you might have to deal with, or might exploit to hide.
Yeah. One thing to consider in like space games is sort of the tech level and things. And there is this sort of notion, like an sort of early space flight where they say gravity wells are for suckers. Like you're getting off a planet is more difficult than getting from one asteroid to another or from one space station to another. And kind of this idea that in the near future, unless we have like some serious powerful like ways to get off of relatively large planets like Earth, um, all the trade in space is going to be between the asteroids and the space stations, and they wouldn't give it because we have nothing for them because it's too expensive for us to sell it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. Unless it's your ships can easily, without any real effort, go from surface to orbit. It's going to all be going to ports, and then there's going to be specialized businesses that transport stuff to and from the actual planets.
Yeah, like a space elevator or something might be a thing.
Well, let's see here. I haven't started with Shadow yet. Let's start with Shadow. Have I?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, we'll start with Shadow, which we go from challenging the players straight to can players establish their own manufacturing facilities or trade businesses, and what are the what are the challenges for doing so? It just said very weirdly.
Well, getting to that position in life right off the bat, if you know anything about it, it's going to take some serious coin to be able to decide that's what we're going to do as a group. You know, you've really, I mean, it's not like a fantasy game. I suppose it could be, but you know, where you finally you've got your castle and you start having the townsfolk do the stuff for you, and you just tax them. This is way bigger. You've got, you know, obviously the bureaucracy of getting all your licenses and fees and things like that, but you know, picking, you know, the items that your player characters are, you know, more or less experts at, you know, the ins and outs. I mean, inside and out of whatever that widget is. They need to know that thing or those things, you know, well enough to where they could put something out on the market that's worthy of purchase versus all the other competitors out there. Okay, I mean, you know, they're going to put out, you know, blaster pistols. Okay, well, there's probably, you know, 50 to 50,000 companies already doing that. What do you bring into the market that's more innovative, cheaper, more reliable, you know, one of those qualities better than everybody else? So you're usually talking a pretty high level or well developed campaign to where you can start doing that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Most players don't really want to get to that point. They do, but they want to just do the other stuff before that. Sorry about that, guys. You were going to say something, Justin?
Yeah, it depends on your tech level, right? Like, so if you have a thing that can take in raw resources and put out even basic to mid-level tech components,
Mm-hmm.
well, okay, how expensive or rare is that kind of thing? Like, could your crew eventually get that and put it in one of the cargo bays of your ship? Or is it so common that Bill has it in his fucking living room, like a 3D printer is today,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, is it rare? Because, like, don't forget, 3D printers have been around since the 80s. They're older than I am. They were just a thing that only very large prototyping companies could afford to have.
I did not know
And
that.
yeah, um,
Yeah, they had them when I was in college, like in the early '90s, and they referred to it as stereolithography.
yeah, that's the technical term for it, right? That's the
Hmm.
technical term for resin-based 3D printing.
And it was very
Yeah, I think
different.
once you get into manufacturing, that's almost like from a game perspective, that's almost like a retirement level thing because you're going to be
Yeah.
so
It
involved in
could
that.
be my one of my longest campaigns. It wasn't even near the middle of the game. It started out because it was a pretty high tech game. That was just that was kind of like an everyday thing for them. They were doing this, and every once in a while they'd come up with a couple of new things or a line
Yeah.
of things that they would put out on the market. But they were too busy, literally conquering part of the galaxy. But if you can get your game there, awesome. But it's pretty rare. It's kind of like with domain play. Once
Mhm.
the campaign has gotten to that point, everybody's
I would definitely put it in the transitional part to domain play of a game. But like I'm thinking, okay, so you got one of these devices. It's on your little cargo ship that has maybe like 2 million tons of cargo space. Because it's a
One
spaceship.
interesting variation where being a manufacturer might work is when people are initially spreading out, you probably have these initial colony ships, which are absolutely massive and have to manufacture basically the entire colony when they get there. So they might have huge factory levels in them. And once you
Hmm.
have your basic area fully established, you're going to have these retired ships with all this manufacturing ability where they might go around and like, okay, we're going to go to this system and we're going to manufacture this for a while. And that kind of dries up and you move on and you start doing something else because you're going to have
Looking
very
for one,
generalized manufacturing
Well,
looking
equipment.
for one of those ships to try to combat greedy corporations would be an excellent gaming storyline.
well, I was thinking like, okay, so your crew, because manufacturing is sometimes like just added manufacturing, which is one of the things Ukraine used to be for Russia. Um,
Yeah.
but I was thinking, like, okay, so your crew buys some like iron ore and a couple other minerals, right? And then they just spend the time trekking from wherever they bought that to some system, turning it into like ratchet sets. Right? Once they get there, they just like sell off ratchet sets because it's an added value, right? Uh,
Yeah, so it could be a work almost like a regular merchant campaign, but
yeah,
instead of buying and selling things, you're going to places and finding out what they need. And because you have this generalized manufacturing equipment, just
yeah,
retooling real quick to whatever it is they want there and start doing that.
yeah,
And then dealing
Yeah.
with all the nonsense that might come up from that through competitors, pirates, and that kind of thing.
yeah. So
One
you
thing
could
I'm
be like picking up. Oh, go.
Oh, sorry. One thing I'm thinking is like I think you're getting on it, Justin. Is that like there's a sort of scale. You don't you don't have to be a big mega corporation with a factory, the gigafactory making things. It could be small scales. There are lots of industrial.
Yeah,
Like you'd be surprised how small. You might have like a small urban lot with a small
especially
loom or something.
if the items themselves are small. And I'm going to
Yeah.
deduct points from all of you because I haven't heard a meth joke yet. But you know, imagine you guys are.
fuck you. What do you think Ratchet set is code for?
Oh, okay. Think about it. If you were in Traveler, they have these things called body pistols, which are non-metallic firearms that can be easily hidden about or inside a person. That easily
Yeah, I know
pass.
where you're hiding yours.
That's why I said inside. Pass metal detectors. Okay,
Mhm.
and if you had a little setup in your ship, you could easily, instead of the schematic for ratchet sets, it could be the hidden schematic somewhere for a body pistol, and you could in the right situation create or manufacture something very very small that could be worth a lot of money. Think about in the real world, some of the biggest crimes, uh, they're manufacturing things that aren't really that big, but tend to make a crap ton of money.
Yeah. Well, one
Yeah.
thing is like with Traveler, and it has like a lot of skills that aren't just combat. So like there's like the admin skill, there's the advocate skill, there's and stewardship, and there's that's sort of a way to get the person who's taking those things and kind of be the man in the game. Like, okay, we can fight, but he's making us money and letting us one pay for the ship, to get buy more cargo. Let's say if we're moving cargo, or buy new weapons and stuff like that. Buy a better ship.
Hmm. Hmm. Which is
All right.
always something you want to be doing.
Mhm.
All right, George, you want to start with this one?
Okay, what is it?
Just making sure
Topic.
I'm reading this correctly. All right. How do different technologies or advanced manufacturing processes affect the availability and quality of goods?
Okay, so let's see. So I guess it goes to more like to tech level kind of thing. If like we're talking in concept of a game or something, or just world building.
Both.
Both. Okay. Yeah. So, so let's see. I'm not sure if I can. Let's see where I can
Can
take
you
this to.
repeat the question?
The,
Sure. So here, how do different technologies or advanced manufacturing processes affect the availability and quality of goods?
There was a
okay.
couple of words that fuzzed out on me.
So one would be like, so how labor intensive it is. Does it need people in the process and things like that? That could be a very interesting thing. A lot of things in history are like about how many people need to be to do this. Like,
Hmm.
for example, the ideas of like doing like a kind of a space western and things. One of the big things is in a settling kind of air in settling areas is there's this lack of labor, and
Hmm.
throughout history there seems to be kind of a couple different ways people go. Either they go into slavery, they just go grab slaves and force people to do it, and it also depends on the process, like what it is. Like, for example, picking cotton was something that was worked with slavery pretty well. Sugar cane production is a very labor intensive process that has a lot of issues with it. They did use like slavery in it and things like that, but it's even like it's
Mining.
such a yeah, mining, for example, like in the Roman times. So
Well,
that's, I think, how many
you're
people is kind
American.
of
Your own country had mining. They tended to use Irish for that.
yeah.
With the slaves.
I was thinking of that movie. It was like a book called Barabbas with Anthony Quinn, where they put him in the sulfur mines. Any guys read that?
Mm, no.
Ah.
Send me a link to it later, though, if you don't mind.
Well, it's like one of those. It's one of those like Christian stories where it's like well, it was turned into a novel. It's sort of based on when um, when they were when they asked the people, who should we set free, Jesus or these criminals, and one of them was this guy Barabbas, who was like a
Mhm.
criminal slash revolutionary type
Yeah,
figure,
but
and
you
then
mentioned the
somebody,
novel. That's
yeah,
why I should
it's
just send me
it.
a link to the book.
It's an interesting story, and I don't think the guy was Christian who wrote it. He kind of just was working some things out in his head while doing it. It's pretty interesting. He ends up like
Mm.
going to Rome. Like he ends up in prison again. And they send him to the salt mines. Then he ends up in Rome, and
Mhm.
it's a good movie.
Okay.
Well,
So sort of how much I think labor intensive, like how much a person is needed for the process versus machines and things like that. That could be one thing,
Hmm.
and then also machinery. If it's all one of the things I'm trying to work out in a cowboy setting, what I'm doing with my daughter is, where's this conflict, and part of it's coming out, and it's sort of kind of in the news now a little bit more and more, where things are being done by AI or being done by robot, and what happens to all the people who, like, how do we solve that issue? Like, we can make all the things we have now with less and less people and less people's input, meaning less and less people getting money to do things.
Hmm.
yeah. Uh, How about Doc
Doc,
Flamingo?
bro, that's driving me nuts.
What's up?
That's driving me nuts.
What is?
The clicking.
Uh,
Sorry, man. But
Doc, do you need me to repeat the question?
no, well, one interesting thing where a lot of bringing in manufacturing, especially even potentially small stuff, would be, especially if you're in the early stages of or just ongoing stages of colonizing new planets. A lot of any high technology that you want to use is going to need a huge infrastructure behind it. So a lot of colonies will probably start out very simple using like animals, for example. So like, for instance, if you want to use a tractor, you got to be able to make and repair every single part of that tractor. You've got to be able to make fuel for it. You've got to have the roads and the refineries. So a lot of early colonies might start out just like bringing some plow horses and seeds for stuff they're going to eat. And so you could be basically a traveling manufacturer that goes from these new worlds to help build up the infrastructure and then potentially move on. So that could be a potential place where manufacturing, especially portable manufacturing, could become a big business in of itself.
yeah, you come in with the ship to create the factories that they would need locally instead of the components. But then you get like most tractor companies these days. Like when we think of like needing the infrastructure to build tractors, we're talking about old school tractors that you could repair yourself if you had the components. Where nowadays, if you know anything about like John Deere or Cat or any of them like that, you try fucking repairing anything on that, the thing just breaks on you. Like deliberately, it's designed to
Yes,
stop working.
yeah, they're designed to do that, and that will
Yeah,
probably only
Or
continue
if you
for
do
a long
work on
time.
it, it voids the warranty. I hate that. That's
illegally, like that there are acts. Actually, thanks to there's a YouTube channel I can't remember the name. He lobbied, and Biden signed a law there in the U.S. to start working on that, preventing that the right to repair stuff.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that guy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. I started watching like his videos on Max or something, and next thing you know, it's like some big, political argument and stuff. I'm like, oh wow.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
he's left New
because
York City because it's so horrible there now.
yeah,
They,
Mac was Apple was pretty bad about like deliberately working in faults into their hardware and then refusing to cover them under warranty, even though they're legally required to. And I just watched a video from what was that guy's name? It doesn't fucking matter. Um, he's going on about Hoover giving him a runaround with the warranty on the vacuum because of fucking the trigger wasn't like it needed a spring and didn't have one by design to open back up on his stupid carpet cleaner. I was like, you know,
There was a Futurama where the young kids like all got in trouble for illegally modifying Bender. Do you remember that one?
no,
Yeah, they overclocked Bender and he becomes this like super computer, and then they get dragged into court for illegally modifying a manufactured good.
which is so it's not yours. You bought it, but you're not allowed to modify it, so it's not your property. That's what that means. And a lot of companies do that, right? It's like I don't know, a lot of weird shit out there.
All right. Well, then, Justin, do you have something else? Have something specifically you want to say? You've already said it on this question.
I'm good on this question.
That leaves you, Shadow.
one of the things I used to implement all the time. To get the players, out of the corporate office and back into, the black bag jobs was, you know, there's a new innovation about to come to market, or these people are working on something, and if you knew how they were doing it, you could, speed up your process, or make your process cheaper or something like that. So
Sorry about that.
getting the players back into the industrial espionage aspect of corporate
Sounds too much
existence
like work to me.
was a great way to get them back into that sort of sneaky Mission Impossible, adventuring almost.
It's
Even if
never like that.
I know it isn't, but in the heist game is a great way to get the players off their asses and doing something. And treasure doesn't always, or reward doesn't always have to be a thing. It could be pure information, and in this case that information could easily result in allowing them to create this new thing, or a whole bunch of new things, or some other innovation along their assembly line chain. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things I like doing when I'm running this kind of game is finding ways to get them away from their computer, or you know where they're sitting down all day, or not really doing anything, where they have to roll some dice, because most of this stuff, there's like really not a lot of die rolls involved. There's no danger, there's no conflict, and I'm always looking for excuses
I,
to put that stuff in.
I'm just saying, for me, that would break the verisimilitude because
You think?
90% of that work is paperwork,
I suppose.
and the rest of the time is going somewhere for a meeting to discuss the paperwork you're gonna do.
Yeah. Well, that's. Yeah.
Hey
Sorry,
man,
but I'm going to do it
I have
anyways.
lived experience on this stuff.
I understand, but that doesn't sound like an adventure, or worthy of role playing.
Yeah, yeah,
Without,
absolutely. But still,
without some sort of danger, other than
just I'm saying, I'm never running this game for this reason. Okay,
How much
because
a week would you say you spend preparing space TPS reports?
CBS. Shut up, Bob.
All right. Last slated question.
What, 20 seconds?
We'll start with Justin.
Yeah.
What are the key resources or commodities that drive your economy?
Slave labor.
I totally didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Like, why would you ask me this question? There's only one answer. The ship is powered by two guys on a wheel, just like in 40K.
No, they're on a hamster wheel and they're powered by meth, so they're running like mofos.
No, I don't know. It depends. Probably like
Captain will run another crank.
Dilithium.
Use whips. Probably like Doc said, like information. I would be more zany about it. Like go heavy into like the reason why people are moving things around is like corporate control over patent rights on things that there shouldn't be any patents on, like screwdrivers or whatever,
or jeans.
Jeans, right? And like TV shows and whatnot, and books. But yeah, I'd also have like rare goods, like the exotic woods and rare fabrics and fruits and stuff like that, right? Like there's, I can easily see a cargo of like Malorian freaking cattle, which are like giant beetles or something. Right, like just make some place up and some random weird specialty good that will be moved around for. Right.
Yeah.
The fucking British built an empire on paprika, for fuck's sakes. So
That would probably be a lot of it. Things like spices and things that have to be produced in very specific environments.
yeah,
Stuff like that would probably be very, very valuable.
So one thing with like with sort of things of value, it's kind of there's one is sort of a indestructibility, immutability. So and this is why I end up a lot of times gold just seems to be the thing, because it's like it doesn't really it doesn't like rust or anything like that.
Mhm.
It's immutable. It's monatomic, which even makes it better, I guess, somehow. And so the other thing, it's a trade good. It's not a value. It's not like a consumable good. Like it's not like food. Trading your food is kind of, even if it was, let's say, like space
Yeah.
food that like never goes bad, it's still food, and it's not necessarily a
Twinkies?
good thing to trade. So it's sort of
like Twinkies. Well, up until the computing age, gold's only value was people said it was valuable.
yeah. Well, they liked it for jewelry. It's
Well,
relatively
that
easy to work.
people said it was valuable. That's
Yeah.
like the only reason why people liked it for jewelry is because people liked it for jewelry.
Yeah. Well,
Without that, it's
then when
literally-
you're, but it also has some what do you call it? It's not just a sort of preference, like a, what's the word? It's there is a sort of quantifiable aspect to its value.
yeah, it's like
Even
rare or
as
whatever.
because it's, well, yeah, it has some rarity, but it's also like, okay, you're going to work something in copper, or you're going to work something in silver, or you're going to work something in gold. The copper thing's going to
Yeah.
turn black. The copper thing's going to turn green and make your wrist turn green. The silver thing's going to turn black. They're both a little harder to work with than gold, and the gold can be pounded out very thin, so you can almost make it, like gold leaf you can make and things like that. So there
Or
are quantifiable
electroplated.
things. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
well, for
There is that
for-
that battery they say they found in like the Baghdad battery. I think they may have. They think the ancients may have had access to that, but even without that, so there are. I wouldn't say it's just like we just think it's valuable, unless you just, except for maybe the notion that decorating yourself is kind of subjective, but sort of picking
yes.
gold specifically, it's it's less subjective than you think.
Mm. But once we start space mining, its value beyond what it can be used for electronic components will plummet like no fucking tomorrow.
Yeah.
The
And
second,
so much of it would be available because if you
yeah,
find
well, that's
like
what I mean.
a 3 mile wide like asteroid probably has more gold in it than we've ever mined
Mm.
on Earth
Period.
in our entire history, and it's
Could be.
all very
Could be.
That's all forms of mining, not just
Yeah.
hitting
And-
a rock with a hammer. It's also like putting a bowl in a stream or whatever that's
so
the term.
there's probably not going to be
Sifting.
any meaningful like lack of any particular material in a given system, except for maybe stuff like gas like nitrogen is very valuable. It could potentially be rare.
Well, how rare is it on the periodic table?
Yeah.
I don't know its number.
Well,
It's abundant in
there's
the
a lot of it
atmosphere,
on
but
Earth, but it's fairly rare in the solar system. Although Venus has a shitload of it, but you'd have to go to Venus, and that would be a serious pain in the
You'd
ass.
have to send down a
If you had,
vacuum hose.
Big agricultural planets, there might not be.
I'm just saying, you're gonna have to buy a lot of freaking hoovers to get the hose long enough.
Yeah, but then again, you get into the situation where you're transporting stuff by like the gigaton for it to be worth doing.
Yeah.
yeah, that's the
But-
one thing, like is helium-3 or is it hydrogen-3? One of those things.
It's
Like one of
helium-3.
those. Helium-3. Okay, yeah, that's one like they're saying. Oh, it's easier to make like fusion with it, so that might be something like it's
yeah,
very
but
rare.
you can mine
it's
it on
very
the
useful.
moon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The moon is like
it's-
supposedly like just caked with the shit.
So is Mars.
Yeah, you probably extract it from the gas giants pretty easily.
yeah.
No, Shadow, you're the only
I-
one from Scifi. Everyone else has been talking.
Well, when I'm running a sci-fi game, one of the things that I love about it is the brave new worlds, the new worlds that are bound to have something that's more or less unique, whether it's a species, a mineral, an activity, a food source, or something like that. There's always going to be this sense of the new, and one of my most successful games was going to these places looking for that new thing, and then adding that to their list of things that they would buy and sell and
Mhm.
bring because it would allow for the traditional speculation of buy low because these people it's no big deal, it's just a purple apple, but you
Yeah,
take it to the core worlds and suddenly everybody's got to
it's a
have
purple apple.
right.
It's a marketing campaign at that point, right?
Exactly, and
Well,
or maybe it's something uh,
the
that that has an actual value. Maybe it's
yeah.
like psionic crystals or something like that. Now they've got this one and only source that's their kind of monopoly. That
Well,
they're
silent
gonna,
crystals could also be like those rock salt lamps that people love. They look absolutely beautiful. You know, the orange
yes,
rock, and they got the
you
lamp
got one.
inside. You got one, but like they're sold to people as like this new agey uh, ion dispersers. But for them to actually do what they claim in those new age commercials, they'd have to be a mile across and being burned with an atomic fire. They look beautiful. They're nice to have. I keep meaning to get one just because I like the way they look. But the claims the new age freaks say about them is absolute
Yeah.
bunk. And you could do the
Well, it's
exact same thing. Find something that looks pretty and is cheap to buy, and then take it somewhere and call it a psionic crystal
Mhm.
and
yeah.
sell it to new age
Right,
people.
and some of these items that they could find, could give them an edge throughout the universe, not just
Yeah.
in trade manufacture, but what if it was psi crystals? Well, they might decide, what, we're not selling these at all. We're gonna give these out to our employees so that they can start, getting the better deal or something like that. There could be some,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
interesting twist on your imagination is the only limit of the crazy stuff that they could find and then decide whether or not they want to sell it or use it as their own, in their own arsenal of how they do business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
I got one more
just thinking of.
question I want.
Oh, can I
Sorry.
stay on the same topic, or sorry?
Sure, sure,
So
sure.
one thing I was just thinking about as you guys were talking was the idea that. So I was thinking about Johnny Mnemonic and Total Recall.
Okay.
So at first I was
Both good
thinking memory,
movies.
like selling memory, like as in like how much gigabytes you can store in a computer. That might be a way of a sort of currency, computer memory. But then I was thinking also about um, like Total Recall. You could sell memories. Like you can go.
Dude, can you get out of
You're
my head? You're stealing all my great stuff from my game. We literally did all of that. They found a way to
We
do this.
sold him your memories.
They found a way to create the total recall technology and then sell, and not only just sell but go out and harvest people's memories to translate to skill packages and things like that so that they could just sit in the chair. Or there was that TV show where they would call and get the information, not the Matrix, but there was one before the Matrix where the guy needed a skill. Anybody remember that?
Jake 2.0.
No, I don't think it was that. I think it was a little more dark and grittier than that. But
Strange Days.
maybe. But between Total Recall technology, what was the other one you mentioned?
Johnny Mnemonic. In that case, I think he had just blocked out memories to fill up with computer memory.
Right, and
Yeah.
being able to do that, then eventually they found ways to download their personality and digitize the soul, so to speak, so that they could have endless you know you know extra
Mhm.
lives, if you will.
Oh, Altered
And one
Carbon.
character, one of my players, created an entire like intergalactic UPS network, and they were all him. Every guy was him. All of his employees were clones of him, and they all they all wore because he in his job, in his daily job, he actually wore the khaki uniform, but he wasn't in UPS. He was in another line. But every time we saw him, he looked the same, and we would always joke on it, and eventually he just had this galactic wide organization, and they weren't like you wouldn't bump into like 50. There'd just be like one or two on a world, so they could infiltrate, and nobody would ever realize until later on. They realized, oh, this entire corporation is made up of nothing but that guy with
It makes
different
it so-
levels, different personalities, different skill sets. It was freaking hysterical.
Make for some interesting labor disputes if there was a strike. I suck. I suck.
It could also be an interesting hook for an adventure. Like some guy comes up to you. You got to go defeat these pirates, but you got to wear this chip in your head to record all the information, so that people can like download it into them to think that they're you fighting the pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And no one's been brave enough to bring this up, so I will. Sex bots and ultra porn.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Degenerate. But no,
Didn't I bring up slave labor?
All right, well, I had one question I was hoping to ask, but I wasn't on the docket because it's not. I didn't feel.
No, bro, you're always on the docket. Everybody is allowed to answer the questions. I was wondering why you weren't.
That's
Go.
a good question. I didn't even think about it. But anyway, the last question, then we can go for full free for all after this because the other ones are kind of repeats. How does the economy? How to do the? One second. I'm slightly dyslexic and occasionally moves words move. Okay. How does your economy fluctuate, such as supply and demand, market crashes, and on the words, a strike, affect gameplay and player decisions? I can read, I swear.
That's cool. It's one of those things I don't really think about, but I know it's in some like books that I've read, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's one of the themes in it, where there's this planet that makes planets, and they just all hibernated themselves till the galactic economy gets back to a point where people could afford their services.
for me, it's one of the great things about sci-fi. Okay, well, if it sucks here, you just go there. So I may try to use it as a nudge, in a direction or whatnot, or just let it's a random thing that happens. But then they're just like, okay, well, we'll pull out of this system and go over to this system or that, or take advantage of that situation. If there's a strike, we'll start selling robots. Or if there's a shortage, we'll go get the thing that they're short on and make a killing. Or it's usually just uh, Doc. I used to get in trouble for that all the time myself. But I can remember it was a second or third grade teacher that damn near kicked me out of her class for the same thing. But yeah, it's at best a nuisance or a motivator to do something different. Otherwise, it's just like an item that they're just going to go, oh, they hear about this or that, and they can use it or ignore it, depending on the group, I guess.
Yeah, I can see that.
Now, we're kind of in free form now, so whoever wants to answer, go right ahead.
It really just depends, on the mindset of the group and how they want to handle situations like that. Because a lot of times they're just going to be able to just skirt around it or use it to their advantage. Or if you really push it, you need to have like a good reason. Maybe it's a hook to get them to find out what's causing the shortage or the strike or the thing that's going on. Otherwise, it's science fiction, and in most sci-fi games where the characters have their own ship, they can just, it's raining here. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's why you want to like introduce drama points, right? Like maybe they've left their ship and they're having trouble getting back to it because like security is after them or whatever, right? The local
There's a strike at the starport, and they can't get to their ship because the dock
yeah,
workers are all on strike, and you can't cross the
yeah,
picket line without getting a cardboard sign to the face.
yeah. And then that's when you got to take out your phase blaster and start shooting into a crowd of people.
You know. Economic warfare could be
Yeah,
the whole basis of a campaign, in fact, especially if you're like taking contracts for like companies that are looking to sabotage each other or cause
yeah.
problems or manipulate markets.
I've got to reread the Vada War series of books. I recommend those. The main character was from a trade family, and that's really wrapped up in the story. Um, if anyone of you haven't read that, I recommend putting it on your to read list.
What's
One
this?
piece
Shadow.
of one piece of advice I'll give is I was just thinking about that. Not one of us had talked about Dune throughout the whole chat, for probably obvious reasons. Never, never, ever, ever make that one thing that is the most important thing in the galaxy. Your galaxy is too big and too vast and too wonderful to have just that one thing be the end all be all commodity, or
Yeah,
it's just uh,
it works for a story. Um,
It
if it's
also
the core point, but it can get tired
In
too
a
too
game
fast.
environment, yeah,
Yeah,
it's just too
for
limited.
a game, it's good as the well, this is why the entire universe is in shambles now because we can no longer get it.
yeah.
or
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 if you're
like
smuggling it, like you've always got a tap supply of getting some of it to smuggle somewhere.
if
But
anything, I would recommend it limit it to that system. This system is like, all addicted to this thing, or everybody wants this new gadget. Okay, cool. But after
mhm.
a while, you're going to play that out, move on to the next system.
It's once again like if you're playing a short campaign, if you're like me and you like things to wrap up around 3 months or 6 months of game time, like weekly session uh, kind of time, then it's okay. But if you're going to do a campaign that's like 4 years long, yeah, you'll find players dropping like flies.
Because they become addicted to the substance and they can't find it.
No, just because it becomes tiring to play the same fucking thing
It was
for
supposed to be a joke, but yeah.
yeah. They become addicted to not dealing with that bullshit anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think if like you played in a Dune setting, it would be there, but it wouldn't be as important because you're not dealing with it because it's always
Yeah,
the guild and
yeah,
Chom and one of the favored of the emperors to mine it for them, and that's kind of it. Maybe you're a smuggler, but kind of in that universe, it's sort of a pervades it. But like if you were playing a character that was doing something in that universe, it might not be the be all and end all of a campaign. Like it be
yeah.
probably more about the intrigues
Yeah,
If it's
it's
and
shit in
a
the
measure of
background,
wealth, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah. I,
I ran
I think
a Dune game, a Dune campaign once in Space Master, and the spice never really was even a factor. It was just kind
yeah,
of
right. I
nonsense.
find that
And
like the Dune
adventure.
universe probably has a whole lot more to offer for players than that. It would be
yeah,
there's
that's
got
shit in the background.
there's got to be something better or more interesting, because we've all seen the movies and the books,
Yeah.
etc., and we
Oh,
know where that
Benny
leads.
Tleilax would be like just so much stuff to mine from there. They make genetically modified pigs called sligs. They have the axolotl tanks, which is spoilers. Well, I'm not going to say it, but it's not a tank. They have they face dancers, which is, and then they try to make a process where you can kind of get your memory back and have a form of immortality. It's pretty. I mean, it's in that one planet in that universe alone has so many things that aren't spice, or maybe tangentially related to spice, but pretty much.
Yeah. Oh,
Biologics,
I know
like
that
animals, like pets, exotic pets, or like illegally uplifted animals, for hunting parties and
I'm
stuff,
personally
custom made
against
creatures.
uplifting. You kill everyone who even proposes the idea. All slaves are to be human.
I,
I've been meaning to
I
ask you,
welcome our
Justin,
gorilla
why do you take
overlord.
such a hardline stance on that? Not that I'm
What?
pro it, but just for the record, so we have one. What is your major beef with that concept?
Uplift?
Yeah,
It's just an excuse to have slaves in
okay,
real life. Like
okay.
I joke about being like wanting slaves and whatnot, but I'm absolutely against it and anything that will lead to it.
What about robots?
Those aren't people.
What if they
leave
become
leave my sex bot out of this
what
conversation.
if they start? What if sentience is added into the mix?
I
You
said
know,
leave my sex bot out of this conversation.
well, do you really need a
Shadow.
sentient sex bot, or is that part of
Well,
the
it's
illusion?
more fun when they scream.
See, the thing is, Shadow, when the sex box, when I'm saying this in purpose, when the sex box becomes sentient, they're just going to become the
Hang out at
perfect
my
mates for
place.
men and women and wait for us to just simply lack of breeding ourselves to extinction.
What do you mean? You don't need sex bots for that. Our government's already doing that.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's funny. There was this one. I want to say it was like Creepy or Eerie magazine, which I highly recommend you guys getting into if you can, because it's just a treasure trove of short stories with just great stuff that people have mostly forgotten about. But there was this one where it was a planet where it had come down to a war between uh, the men versus the women. Right. There was literally two factions on the planet, men versus women, and in the end, it was literally the robots that watched it all come to almost a complete annihilation. They said, "Nope, we're in charge now. You guys are going to do what we say," and it was awesome.
I think I remember that episode of Duckman.
Well, it was an issue of Creepy or Eerie magazine.
Yeah.
But mind you, this went out of publication in the mid '80s. But I've seen some of those stories. Life Hutch was taken from that and put on an episode of Love, Death, and Robots. But there's so many great little stories and story ideas, and it's not one of the more
I
expensive.
think I remember that episode of The Simpsons and Futurama and South Park.
Um, where you could just you grab so much, and you can grab the anthologies where you get like 6 issues in a hardback form or soft cover for like $25, and good reads and great art that we don't get anymore. We just really really don't. If you look for anything in a graphic novel or comic book form, you just don't get it anymore. It's all watered down bullshit in comparison.
Just to let you know, Simpsons did it with a petri dish behind Lisa's bed and the Empire of her Tooth in a episode, Halloween episode. Futurama did it with the colony living in Bender's stomach while he was floating in space, and South Park did it with Cartman sucking seed out of a guy's hose in a back alley.
Oh, and then
Uh,
there
uh,
was the worms in Fry's brain also in Futurama.
oh, Futurama did it twice.
Wow, you just hit 3 things that I stopped watching decades ago, and I guess I got to go back.
And all those episodes are from decades ago when the
Okay.
shows were still good.
I can't remember the last time I watched a Simpsons or Futurama. It's been so long.
Yeah.
South Park, not so much, but it doesn't usually veer into the hardcore science fiction much anymore, or at least I haven't seen one.
Yeah. All those episodes are from like before 2005, I think.
Yeah, I
Or
stopped
maybe
watching
10.
most of that in the '90s.
Yeah.
I
I
stopped
stopped
watching
watching.
everything in the '90s, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh.
So we ready to put this one to bed and move on to whatever the hell else we're. By the way, TCG, great job. We got
Hmm.
this
You'll
in
be hosting more often.
uh, just under 2 hours. Nicely done, everybody in the chat as well, which is like nobody, but Kai was here. That was cool. And Kai, if you're still listening, yeah, we'll get you back in one of these days. I just wanted to keep it because I knew if we brought you in, we'd still be going an hour from now.
That's okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna spend the next hour talking about sex robots now.
I'm okay with that. You know what we should do an episode of that. I may even do it next week just
what
because
what, what
it's
model
so
features do you like besides a penis there, Shadow?
We were playing. We were playing. What was it? The steampunk. Not steampunk. The other
George
one.
is like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
George will be absent that week. I can tell from here.
Yeah, we were playing Shadowrun, and they had that Bunraku, which is in the game, it's like a person that's a cyborg that's basically had their memory pretty much wiped. They're pretty much puppets, which is a bunraku is a Japanese word for their puppet theater, and like you could just download in a Marilyn Monroe personality or I don't know, some whatever personality you want. They download it in and they send them out as prostitutes. That was we had that in our last game. It was a little uncomfortable to do, but so yeah, we were trying to
As
hack
it
into
should,
the
as it should be. But if it's a group of people like you've like with my group, we had grown up together. We'd been friends for
yeah.
decades, so we never had those issues of that. But I did have one player accidentally forget that the character that I was was NPC I was running. He forgot that it was actually his damn mother. So I'm not even joking. And it was awkward because of a completely different reason, not because it was two dudes, talking, role playing this thing out, because he was gonna literally pour a love potion into his mom's drink, and I'm like, dude, that's your mom, right? It's like, oh shit, I forgot.
Hold
It's
to
like,
Ryan O'Neal.
This is why you have that line on the character sheet, and it shouldn't be buried on the second page.
it was hysterical, and he did have a kind of a thing for older women, so we were able to dredge that up, kind of like gay porn jokes here on the Shadow and Sun show. Every
They're
once
not porn jokes; they're stating reality. I'm laughing my ass off still, by the way.
but yeah, let's
I can still picture that fucking guy. Okay,
sorry,
I still have those nightmares.
I yeah.
George, were you around for the time Shadow let in some random person?
No, I
And
think I must have missed that.
okay, this was like last year. He let some guy in, and I just like, don't let him in, don't let him in, bro, don't let him in. You're not gonna like what's gonna happen. And he lets the guy in and walks away before making sure the guy's like cool.
You walk
And the
away. I
second
was
Shadow
there.
walks away,
I was
and the
there.
guy turns his camera on and is naked, and you can see from his head down, and he's jerking.
Oh
And
God,
that's why Shadow is a gay
What was
porn
it?
producer.
what was that? That was that chat roulette back in the day. People used to just like you would just randomly pick a video chat.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, you would just chat roulette. Yeah, let's try it out. Within a month,
Well,
that was going on.
in my defense, that's how I met Brian. Was I saw his thing, his name in the chat, and he was talking up a storm. I'm like, hey, let's get this guy in. Um,
Yeah.
but the funny thing about that story is that the next week after that, there was someone wanting to get into the show. A woman who had her own YouTube channel. She was a prepper like me, and she's like, keeping up with the conversation, blah blah blah. And she grabbed the link, and I didn't let her in because as soon as she turned on her camera, all you could see was big old grandma flopping around. And I'm and then the week after that, another guy had two different screens. We could see in the green room. He had two different screens. So depending on which kind of porn you liked, uh, you'd get your fill. But the thing was, is when he was in the green room at first, you saw his face, and he was a typical bearded egg ginger kind of looking dude. Could have been Mr. Max in 10 years. looked like one of us,
One
and
of
showed his
us.
face and
One of us.
everything. And then, before I let him in, he changes the screen, and there's two different screens, with two different things that was not going to happen on the show. And I'm just like, dear God, we had this like couple of months where it was just nonstop, just weirdos trying to get into the show. And I'm like, do you guys all know each other? What the frick?
This is probably all the same person.
Speaking of which, where's Justin Stalker been? We haven't seen him in a little while.
Felix? No, we have not. And it's funny too because I realized I didn't kick him from the Discord, and he's still in my Discord, and I need to go and figure out how to kick him from it
Oh,
because
1 second. I'm gonna pull up the. I'm gonna do an ad break.
for your t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Felix.
Let me just find it.
Okay, I'll set you up. Justin Stalker was here for quite a few weeks. Just you know, in love with Justin. Like, there's no other way to put it. Just just hitting on him. Saying, "Oh, I'm
Weird
not
shit.
gay," and all these different things. I'm 16. I'm in high school. I got a girlfriend, but she's in special ed, and it's just everything you'd expect from a Justin Stalker. It was just a character because it wasn't just
Yeah.
this show. It would be on Justin's show, and then one day he draws a picture of Justin, just like exactly as you'd expect a 16-year-old autistic um, person to draw a picture of his idol, that being Justin. And we're going to share it now. And the T-shirt is available at Justin's T-shirt shop. And of course, it says, "How big are your hands?"
I put the link in the chat. So if you want that shirt, just make sure you change the color. It's defaulted to tie dye.
I don't think tie dye would go over well, and nor would black. Obviously, hello, buddy. How you
Yeah, there's no outline on it. You can get it in black once it
That little
loads.
picture should have right beneath it. Are you lonely?
It is available in
He's
black.
lonely. My little buddy's lonely. Look at this guy.
Uh,
Look at that cute face. I love
but
you.
yeah, it's available in tie dye.
Yeah, you know what? The tie dye doesn't look too bad, actually. But I can't wear tie dye against my religion.
Yeah, I have everything defaulted to tie dye on my shop. That way, like
Oh,
I hope
dude,
somebody accidentally
stupid
buys it
gay,
one
stop
day in
it.
tie dye just because it's funny.
What's wrong
There's
with
even a
you?
warning at the top telling everybody, like the banner of the page is like a warning saying everything is defaulted to tie dye or something like that. I even have a shirt that has like so you can buy a shirt that says a warning. If you buy a shirt in tie dye, it's your own fault. Oh, oh. But yeah. Some days I miss Felix. Most days I don't. Oh,
Listen, I've got him on Discord. I'm sure I could reach out for you.
yeah. Don't.
Oh,
I literally should, and then immediately like ban him from the Discord.
Oh.
So we've got one more spot in the show. If one of our friends out there, Raven, you want to join the chat and try to class this place up, you've got the link.
An uphill
If
battle.
she shows up, I'm going to ask her, what are the deep, dark secrets of Bigfoot manufacturing and trade? She should know that.
I got to show you this poster our GM from my OSR game made for us.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh. It's too far from the camera. Sweet.
All right, this
Well,
is
let's see
more
if I can
awkward than
make you.
I thought. Can you guys see this? Whoop. No.
Whoa, if you don't break everything.
Let me fix this. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I tried setting it up, and then like it fell over, and then I just put it in a cup, and that worked a lot better. So he found this guy. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we can hear you.
Oh yeah, he found this guy on Reddit or something, and he made a like an OSR style
A
Cool.
line drawing.
painting. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
trying to
it
mount
just
it, but
makes me want to break out the markers and color it in.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Just get
Even though
something.
I'm like a huge fan of black and white art, just something
Right.
about it, just like, oh man, just takes
Line
me
drawings are
back to
part
those
of that.
days. You remember the old felt posters you could buy in black and white, and they came with the
Oh,
markers.
suede.
Yeah,
Suede, yeah.
I was thinking I had like an Aussie one once or something.
We had the dogs, the original dogs, playing poker.
Nice. I
Yeah.
had one set that was from the Lord of the Rings movie, and one of them was the Balrog. Uh, I bet that's if you could find one, I bet it would go for a freaking mint. And of course, I would get it, and then I wouldn't color it. I would just still frame them in black and white because
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it was just because of those days as a youngster buying Savage Sword of Conan and Creepy and Eerie and Vampirella magazine that were like I knew they were more adult oriented, and they're right next to the X Men and Fantastic Four comic books. But then like off to a little bit to the side were these magazines that were comics, but once you started reading, you're like, oh wow, this is a little bit above that age range I should have been if it was in the theater kind of thing.
Mhm.
Back when things like that kind of mattered. Back when people had morals and didn't take their kids to R-rated movies. Just saying.
And then act like it's the director's fault that it was an R-rated movie that that the kids saw.
Yeah. George, you're in my Discord, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Under your last name.
yeah. Well, no,
Okay.
it's just a jumble of my. I think it's. I don't know how it shows up on there, but how does it show up on there? Just Egorov, which is not my.
You're the elf that's in that picture that you just showed.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
the half
Fucking
elf.
Fucking elf.
He's a
You know
half elf.
the elves only have one sex, right?
Mhm.
Women.
No, excuse me. No, they have two. Males have small penises. Females have big penises. That's how they have two.
No,
Big and small.
no.
Did you guys see the pole
That is
vaulter
degenerate and
today?
disgusting. You weirdo. What were you saying, George?
Oh, the video, the Olympics. There was that pole vaulter who vaulted over only to have his unit take the pole down with him.
Ow.
Yikes.
Yeah. I advise against sword fighting.
I'll bet he could sing The Sopranos after that.
No.
Oh, it just knocked the not the main, not the one he hangs from, that he vaults with, but the one that
vaults,
the bar,
the
bar
measurement
part. That's
bar.
like
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just looking something up. I was going to send you something on Discord, George.
oh cool.
No, it's advertisement for something to buy.
Okay.
So, Shadow, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Feel free to send like a friend request if you want.
Go for it.
I believe, but we already have them. No.
If,
TCG.
if you were given the supplies, space, and resources to build your own catapult, would you?
My own catapult?
Yes.
Yes, I would, but I would wait until I got to Texas. Just saying.
Oh no, that just came to mind. All of a sudden, like,
As a
Would
matter,
you
as a
ever
matter
build
of
a
fact,
catapult?
I actually made a meme. The only meme I ever made, and I forget what I put on it, but it had a picture of a catapult, and it said something highly offensive to a certain group of people. And I vowed that if I got a piece of property big enough, I would put one every 10 feet along a certain area.
Mhm. What group of people?
But take your pick these days.
Yeah. Oh.
If I need a passport to leave my country. I think that should be a universal thing.
To leave your country?
Hmm. As in
Yeah,
go anywhere else.
yeah.
But time will tell. We'll
I
see.
have to look up my purchase history before I send you that link.
That sounds ominous.
Well, I thought I had another one saved. It's just a pole, like the pole I have my camera, my cell phone mounted on. So he's not having to hang the thing off of a cup or whatever.
Hey,
You just attach it to the back of your desk and leave it there.
I got a wild hair up my ass and decided I'm not saying what, but I'm making Shadow a Christmas present. I ordered Jackie's Christmas present offline.
Well, thank you, sport. That's pretty nice of you.
I don't do Christmas. Please,
Really?
please return the favor.
That's gonna make the holidays kind of glum.
No. I mean, like buying shit.
Oh, okay, okay. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if you were in America, I'd actually make you something too, Justin. And before you say I don't need it, I have too much stuff and to make things, so I need to make things to slowly declutter myself.
Hi.
Well, you can always set up an Etsy account.
Yeah, that's what my sister said, and she's highly pushing that, so I probably should.
Yeah, because you're doing those leather bags, right?
Yeah.
And you don't need to mass produce them. You can just like make 4 or 5 of them and then sell them, and then when you make 4 or 5 more,
Mm-hmm.
sell
that's
them. You should see what those things go for on there, like $40 easy, right?
That's a good boy. You want to come here? Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's my boy.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think I could make one of those things for less than $40.
Make one of these for less than
Yeah.
$40. I only paid 50 for them.
No. The leather dice bags that TCG
Well, I'm going to
makes.
turn him into a couple of leather dice bags.
Oh yeah, you can make a really nice set of leather. You just make sure you leave the fur on there. They can be fur dice bags.
Yeah. Most
This
of
is
the
best.
dice bags I make are not too sound
You're
self-centered,
so
but they would be worth more than
Stop
that. 'Cause
kissing me,
most
you
of what I do is
Yes, you're big gay.
it's Frankenstein leather, where I do patches of leather and make a sheet out of that, then I make a bag.
Do you use a machine? A sewing machine?
No,
No.
offhand.
Okay, you should look into one. You can probably get one for cheap.
Yeah,
It doesn't
well,
have to be now.
in this instance, it's space. I live in
Yeah,
a
no,
10
they're
by
not
10
that big.
shed.
You can get them pretty small. A foot.
Hey, what happened to Doc?
I probably went to the bathroom or something. Fuck.
Oh, Justin, you'll be happy to know that I did order the first Gore novel just for you.
Why? You could just ask me and I would have sent you the freaking audiobook.
Oh no! I want the old fashioned experience. Hiding under the blanket with the flashlight. Um,
Being ashamed.
right. Well, I can't have the little guy walking in when I'm listening to something like
Well,
that.
you use headphones.
I don't do headphones. I have an absolute just. I used to use them like all the damn time, right?
Yeah.
Like everywhere I was going, everything I was doing, I had them. But I hit like 50, and I'm like, I hate this.
I literally wear these things for 18 hours a day.
That's how you keep that Lego haircut intact, right?
Yep.
It's
I have a permanent bar going across my head where they sit. Like literally, I turn sideways and my hair is just gonna.
I mean, I used to love those freaking things,
Yeah.
from
Oh, life of me, I can't find this thing.
from the age of cassette all the way through DVDs. A good 30 plus years because I was on the bus or the train or something like that all the damn time, and I just loved it. But as soon as I moved into this house, it's like I need to hear every little freaking noise that might be going on, whether it be a water heater exploding or a neighbor, cutting the lawn or whatever. I just have this weird like need to be able to hear without my, without anything getting
Yeah.
in the way. So I could, I might not hear it, but I have the ability to hear it. And I know there's some headphones that allow you to hear both. Plus when you hit 50, hair starts growing out of your ears like uh, like crazy. So it's just like,
Hey, gents, I'm going to need to take off. It was good seeing you all.
no
Good talking
worries,
to you
man.
guys.
Make sure you join us next week when
Party
we
on dock.
talk about recreational robots. Uh,
Mm.
I won't be here next week.
It's its own topic show. I still see you all later. Later,
oh, what are you
everybody in
talking about?
chat.
That'll be our
Yeah.
best episode ever. Doc, thanks for showing up as always. Have a great weekend. Look forward to seeing you. And if you see James before I do, tell him I said hey, and that I will see him sometime during the week. Oh, hey, it looks like GM Cody's coming back. Haven't seen that guy in I want to say 4 or 5 months now, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. He said he was taking time off. For what? His mental
He
health.
just had a announcement announcing my upcoming RPG, Wizards of Shadow City. That sounds like
Cool.
so freaking right up my alley. Um, that sucks, man. Just what I need, one more role playing game that I probably won't ever play. Right.
Yep. Uh,
Speaking of role playing games I'll never play, I picked up this moldy oldie. I've actually found it in my library. I thought I had sold this thing. Oh my god! The only thing good about it, besides the front cover and back cover ripping off like greats like Doctor Strange and things like that with impunity, was the fact that it was the very first superhero role playing game. But I am going to review this hot dumpster fire of a game sometime soon, as soon as I can force myself to read through this 1977 era. Just what the
I
heck?
I don't know why, but for some reason that immediately reminded me. Have you paid attention to what you get in the stretch goals from the Dungeons and Laters Caves Kickstarter?
Oh yeah,
So you said at one point you have railroad tracks for something.
yeah.
You're actually getting a dwarven mine train in there too,
Hmm.
so you might have an excuse to use them.
Yep. I don't know when I'll get to actually break out the Dungeons and Lasers and build up a dungeon. I'm hoping to maybe. Oh, I should pull that down. It's been up there all night. One of these
was that
days, I'm
good
going to
night,
try
Kai?
and I'm going to run a game for Jackie's friends, uh, and hopefully I'll be able to break all that out and just fill the dinner table with a dungeon and go, all right, kids, this is how we did it in the old days, and just watch their heads just go, you know, um,
Oh yeah.
just because I listen to their games, and I can't tell you how many games that never leave the freaking inn. Just they're still, it's 2 3 hours later and everybody's packing up. Well, what'd you guys do? We got in a bar fight. Okay, all right. I'm gonna have to step in. You keep doing that crap.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're good kids, and you know, I've heard some classic lines come from them. One I will steal, or I've told you about before. But sometimes, they're 16, 15, 16, 17 ish. And have been brought up. Playing the game. I don't know what their source of inspiration is. I can't even imagine. I just hope to God it's not something like Critical Role or something like that. One of the banes on our role playing existence these days.
You should put a poster up in the where they play saying "Death to Critical Role." Just like print it off on a piece of paper and tape it to the wall. See what they say.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's what it is.
No, just see if there are any reactions. A little social experiment, as the
It's
liberals would
just
say.
weird because when they do come over, they get like their parents drop them off, and you get 3 hours, and I'm like, 3 hours? That's like
Yeah.
that's barely enough
Look
time to
after.
eat the pizza, because we always when they come over, order a bunch of pizzas and chips and drinks, the usual.
Yeah.
And that barely gives them enough time to devour a couple of pizzas and break out the character sheets before it's time to go. And I'm like, no, guys, you got to go for at least, if you're going to do it in person, like 4 hours. Uh, 5 would be ideal so that you can have that break in the middle. Okay, you've been playing, now you can eat some pizza and go back to playing. Because I ordered something just for them because I thought it was goofy as hell. One of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen as a accessory to gaming. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was a Kickstarter a while ago, but it was basically okay. You guys have all seen Reaper miniatures, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this company worked together with Reaper and maybe another miniature company, and they created gummy miniatures, dice, and little potion bottles.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Okay, like they're edible.
Yes, yes. And I thought, you know what? Go ahead.
The concept is supposed to be that when you defeat a monster, you get to eat the gummy.
That is correct. That is correct. If you deliver the killing blow, you get to eat the monster. And there's like gelatinous cubes and there's
Oh, just a ice cube size chunk of gummy material.
Yes.
The
Yes.
dragons, like they actually have appropriate scale sized dragons that are entirely
They literally used Reaper miniature molds with Reaper, in conjunction with Reaper. But there's also gummy dice and little potion bottles. And I backed it so that I could invite the kids over and go, okay. And that way, when the game is over, they're all hyped up on like massive quantities of sugar. I'm going to hand out like pixie sticks on the way out so that when they go home, their parents are like, what are you guys on, crack? No.
This is his. It's effectively like a
recruitment.
No, like a money laundering scheme, but for drugs. He's gonna say he's giving us a bunch of sugar, when in actuality, it's it's something else.
By the way, say hi, Jack.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, it's meth. That's why all the gummies are blue.
Yeah. That does
They
make
could be
sense.
pink.
Pink, yeah.
There is
Yes.
pink. There's actually a multitude of colors. Would you come up to show me, Sport?
Yeah, but it's not as fun if you don't have the Breaking Bad reference.
Exactly.
Okay, so while they're being all cryptic and weird and talking about, I don't know, sex robots or something. Yeah.
That was that Futurama with the sex robots or something, the Lucy Lou bot.
Yeah, that looked like Lucy Lou. Fry got into trouble because he made her a sex robot and you weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
What was they had a name for it?
He had watched the 50s style health, like a like high school health film.
Yeah. Oh, that was such a good show. And they'll never be able to bring it back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shadow's like the professor where he just hates time travel and paradoxes. Just despises.
Yes, I do. Well,
shut up, Zoidberg.
Here's the thing: in a gaming context, it's so hard because you eventually have to start railroading or writing what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Well, it
I don't like
depends.
doing that.
You could do some things, but the point is that stuff can change, right? So
Right, but I know it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know what the possibilities are. I have to kind of plot out some things that I don't normally do.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't have a time travel segment in a game that wasn't in a part of the world that the players hadn't already played through, right? And that there wasn't good notes that the players could reference on what they did previously. So you played Tuesday, now you get to play Tuesday over again.
Right, or in an Earth-based game where you have a whole bunch of known factors that okay,
Yeah.
these things are kind of set in stone. On this date this happened, and you can then just change it all, and everybody will understand the changes as opposed to
Yeah.
you got a couple people not paying attention, don't even care.
You ever watch the TV show 7 Days?
It sounds familiar.
7 Days. It was an early 2000s show. Um, I don't remember the character's name, but he was like a mental guy, and he passed an aptitude test, and they brought him into this government project where they had a sphere, and it would allow one person to go back in time 7 days, to like fix something that happened or whatever. So you'd usually get like 10 or 15 minutes of the character living through something, and then shit would happen, and then he would go back and try to like rectify something. Like the B plot was him trying to change the outcome of him hitting on this one chick that worked at the program. Always. So he would be like preventing some terrorists from bombing a post office or something stupid like that. And then also trying to not put his foot in his mouth with this redhead. you know?
Yeah.
Or he'd be like, "Hey, I won the I watched the football game, so look, I'm going to go back in time and I'll just place a bet on the game, but because the time travel changed so much, the outcome of the game was different." Like
Yeah.
yeah, but like we changed time that caused pressure in the atmosphere to make the ball shift a little bit, so he missed
Yeah.
that winning
Butterfly
goal.
effect.
Yeah.
So
Always, and because the time scale was only 7 days, you'd have that sort of familiarity with what just happened. The players would.
yeah.
Well, the
I will be right
viewers.
back.
Yeah. But I think a game only works with that kind of like if the players are actually familiar with what happened.
Mm.
Like Back to the Future 2. Marty McFly is trying to avoid himself because he already knows what's going on. That's what makes that interesting. That's
Yeah.
why I think the third Back to the Future is so weak, because there's no character connection with the events of the time, or they just
Yeah.
seem so far out of familiarity with what's going on. Where
Yeah. It's
the
like his
first
great
Back to the
grandfather or
Future,
something.
yeah, the first Back to the Future, he had been hearing the story about the end of the sea dance his entire life, and we're given that context in the story.
Yeah. And the lightning bolt. And
Yeah,
that's another. I remember we mentioned on the writing show the Chekhov's gun. You guys we
yeah,
were talking about writing, and that's a perfect example of the Chekhov's gun, where they're giving him the clock, the flyer to save the clock, and
yeah,
it's in there. You kind of get this little setting. You're like, oh yeah, it's a cute little town or a quaint, and they're trying to save their clock, and then you see what happens. Like you can follow the path of, oh, he's thinking what I'm thinking. They know where the
yeah.
lightning bolt's gonna hit.
I have a feeling that, like, I have this strange feeling that there was like a reversal in that. I have to rewatch it to see if I'm not just making this shit up. But it's like the first time around, he gets the flyer to get the clock fixed, and then the second time around, he gets the flyer to prevent the clock from being fixed. Right? Like it's the same
Ah,
lady. I have this stinking suspicion. I could be just talking out of my ass with that, but I could feel that being something that would happen. You know,
yeah,
you get the same fucking person in both timelines. One's like, "It's been broken for 2 decades. We need it fixed," and the second
yeah.
timeline is like, "They're about to fix it. It's going to destroy our community." It's like, what?
Yeah, there's that whole like thing where you gotta either like the time travel works where you just do whatever happened, or something went wrong and there's only just two possibilities. You can fix it and come back, and nothing else will be changed. It's one of those weird things, or time only works because you went back in time, or the universe will unravel.
Yeah. Well, like that's the thing with 7 days, right? The character's like living his life, and there are things that happen, and then there's like, okay, you get this news headline that they see a train derailment or something like that, and it's like, well, it was caused by this. You can go back and prevent that from happening.
Mm.
Well, do you succeed? Do you fail? You know the events. You lived through them, so
Yeah, there was
you're
a show that
familiar with
handled
what's going on.
a show
Yeah.
that handled that the time travel in that kind of aspect pretty well because the character didn't travel time. He got tomorrow's newspaper delivered to him every morning.
I don't know that one. It sounds familiar though.
I listened to a couple episodes, but I like the premise.
Another time
What
travel
was it
show.
called?
Oh, I can't remember. I seen this as a little kid, and it was only, I think it was on channel, CBS. I don't want to say channel 2. That's different for everybody.
Hey, I had a question for you guys. I was thinking about listening. Well, I was listening to what you were saying. Um, I was thinking about time travel. I used to watch Doctor Who a lot. I'm not going to go into why I don't anymore. Um, but I don't remember a single instance of him actually really time traveling within the episode. To like fix something or do something. Like
No, it was
Never
usually
does.
just like the premise for a new location at
right,
the
like the
beginning.
way they did in Bill and
Um,
Ted's. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They were fixing shit because they had a time machine. Because that's the point of having a time machine.
Bill and Ted was good. Like they would fuck up something and just go back 10 minutes and do it again. The show you're thinking of, TCG, was Early Edition.
Ah,
Oh, I
okay.
remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I actually watched a couple episodes of it, and I don't know what happened. Why I stopped. Either it got taken off, or I just started doing something else.
They did
But
90 episodes of that, man.
really, wow. Yeah, it just goes to show you how little
Yeah,
TV I
4
watch.
years,
Really.
5 years maybe. I have to look up the actual season, but from '96 to 2000.
Even Quantum Leap.
Yeah,
You
four
could
seasons.
you could feel the time travel element into the writing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I tried
And
rewatching
Yeah.
that, and that's like modern day levels of shit livery.
The cool thing about Quantum Leap is that it's sort of like they're fixing the timeline. Like it's like something broke it, and they're there to fix it,
mhm,
and we don't know why until like kind of
the
there's
very end.
implications. Yeah,
It's the
Right,
spoilers.
and
devil.
which is funny because that's one of the reasons why I don't think time travel would exist is because whatever created everything is so much more powerful than to allow anything to go wrong like that. But if you were
Mhm.
going to do it, it would have to have that some sort of that kind of a premise. And that was my opinion way back before Quantum Leap ever finished, and I never saw the end, so I don't know
It's
exactly.
Okay.
literally, it just ends on a cliffhanger, but it's the devil that did it.
Right, which
Yeah.
you know, Doctor Who had the Master, and I mean,
Mhm.
they did everything they could to make him look like Satan in the early days. So why
Mhm.
the heck not, right? I
I
know
highly
people.
recommend you watch 7 Days. 7 Days is fun. There's only like 3 or 4 seasons of it, and it's not like just watch a couple episodes. If you like it, you like it. You don't.
You know what? We were talking about this the other day. Starting Monday, when Jackie goes back to school, I'm only gonna have 2 hours a day to do it. Uh, but I think I'd be better off catching up on movies than TV shows once I've knocked out like, well, I don't know, 365 or 350 movies next year. Then I can go and start hitting up TV shows because I think I'll get more out of catching up to everybody I hang out with. Because I've seen a lot of movies, but compared to you guys and especially Justin, I don't know how you get the time to read and catch all this other crap. Uh, you know,
I sleep 1 day a week.
there's that. But even the average other.
Like I'm still up from yesterday when we did the show in the morning or at noon.
Plus, what he doesn't tell you is he has learned how to watch the TV with one eye and read with the other.
Well, I do that. I do.
I can do that, but then I usually irritate whoever I'm watching it with. It's like you're not watching the movie. Trust me, I'm absorbing as much as I'm willing to
Okay.
absorb.
Well, I
Unless
usually catch all of it, but
or I've got my tablet in my hand and I'm checking things or whatever. And I really, if I'm gonna
well,
catch up with some of these greats, so I'm gonna put in a
you seen me on like doing the show and still pulling up info and like live searching stuff. It's the same way I take in media, uh, which oddly I have
Yeah.
not been doing that much tonight.
but on the opposite end of that spectrum, the books that I've read that other people haven't or are just getting
Hmm.
around to blows my mind. It's like, how did you not read, like Elric, for example, back in the '80s? You're 50 some odd years old. You were playing D&D in the '80s. How did you not go and look at the deities and demigods book, see the images of Elric, and just go, "Oh, I need to read this."
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not that old, for one.
Right.
I really never gave a shit about most of D&D's early stuff. I've looked through some of the books, and the concept of Elric just does not like impress me.
It no
But
spoilers.
a lot of that stuff, it's just like, yeah,
Yeah, I back then we didn't have much else,
yeah. Well,
so and to be honest, a lot of those things like Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser and Elric, both the first books compared to the rest of the books, just like how did you get
well,
the green light to go write the next one? You know what I mean?
well.
Other than there was nobody stopping them.
That tends to
Yeah.
be the case with most writing. People get better the
Mm.
longer they're going. You were about to say, George?
No, I don't think I really started reading much until like I was in my 30s maybe. Like in the 1990s, when I was in my 20s, it would be like I read like oh gosh, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Lord of the Rings. Maybe
Hmm.
by then, and then like probably nothing for like a few for the rest of the decade, and then
Hmm.
started reading again and like was reading gosh, who's
Yeah,
that
see
guy? Terry Pratchett.
both of those books series, George. I had finished by the time I was 16, and by
Mm,
the time I was 16, I had read Lord of the Rings like half a dozen times. It
yeah.
was
Oh, Dune. I read Dune too. That was all
Yeah.
the Dune.
I read Dune when I was 17.
On top of which,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
When
things I
else?
would have read that you've never even heard of. There,
Right,
Shadow.
right, but
Oh, and
it's all probably written after 1990. Would I be correct in that
Some
assumption?
of it, yeah. I do like
yeah.
more modern
Uh,
stuff.
in high school, I was just like not interested in reading, and they just tell you what because at school they just like make you read some stupid book that's like you can't
Yeah,
relate
like
to,
Great
and
Expectations every year throughout high
I
school.
love that story.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah, I love Great Expectations. It's a pretty good
Oh
book.
God, if I could have all that time back.
Oh yeah, especially if it's like I read that last year. I'm not reading it again. I'll just that's one of the things. Like I would save my papers and just hand them in. I already did this. Give me something else.
Yeah, we couldn't do that until
Yeah.
I got sent to a
No.
continuation school.
Yeah.
That
It's
would be
like
grounds for expulsion. That kind of
I would just say send me to the office. You're asking me to do the same thing over again. Like I already graduated grade 4. Give me grade 5 stuff.
yeah. For example, the very first real reading I did was the day I
Yeah.
graduated from kindergarten. My dad was like, "Oh, so you're a big graduate, huh?" Hands me freaking Edgar Allan Poe. Read the Telltale Heart and get back to me. I was
Yeah.
5. I know. It was like, Dad, it's like what the fuck? But
No,
I wasn't
you should
allowed
be able to do that by then.
yeah, well, I wasn't allowed to
Yeah.
say that word until I was much older, but I still did. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I can't say anything. Jack's reading Blood Meridian as we speak,
Blood
and I
Meridian.
bought it for him without knowing. Oh dear
No,
God!
no, it's okay. You should be able to handle that stuff. It's like fucking reading Bambi. um, you should read that book I sent you the link to. It's not a fiction book, but I sent you what was it? Weapons of Mass Instruction or
Mhm,
Education, something like that.
mhm.
That's a book.
Yeah, I'll try to squeeze that in as soon as possible.
Just
I
buy
do
a copy of it and put it on Jackie's desk and say, "Read this." You should start assigning them book essays.
yeah. Well, I have been able to squeeze it.
In addition to his schoolwork.
I have been able to, anytime he's like, I got to do a book report. I'm like, okay, I got a book for you. He's like, okay, and then he's like, oh, this is really good. I'm like, duh, that's why I handed it to you. I'm not going to hand you crap, like, they will in school, and it
Yeah, like
always,
the bluest eyes ever. I can never get over that.
oh dear God, uh, because some of the stuff that I've seen that they've had him read, I'm like, what the crap is this? This isn't even remotely one of the classics. You've got to have a really good foundation of the classics
Mhm.
before so many other things really make sense, in my opinion.
If you've got like $700 to burn, I recommend the Harvard Classics collection, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's called
There's
that.
one
You can look it up.
there's one called like the Great Books of Western Civilization or of the West or something like that.
Yeah,
That's kind
I
of
think
where
that's the book series.
and it's just
It's
like
done by
all
one
the
universe.
you start out with like Sophocles plays or something, and the next you're reading
The
you know
treaties, not plays. But yeah, yeah, that's what the book series I'm talking about. That guy I sent you the link to,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing that series. Or started with that. I don't remember his channel name.
there's there's a site called LiveryVox. They have a lot of the stuff that's
Yeah,
like old stuff on audiobook, but it's volunteers reading it, so some of them are good, some of them are stuttering the way through it.
hot garbage.
Yeah, what was it? The Dying Earth was like that kind of for
Yeah.
us when
No,
we.
no, no. Worse than that.
Oh, really?
You go listen to that bit of audio you had before we told you to leave and come back. Now that level of audio are worse, and then just people reading as bad as TCG thought he was reading. Yeah, not. You did a good job tonight, bro. You got those questions out clean. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, but some people, but it's free service, right? There's no editing or anything like that. But yeah, I know LibriVox pretty well.
Really? Yeah,
Um,
I am definitely going to have to
they're public
really
domain audiobooks.
really schedule my time better this upcoming year, so that when uh, Jackie goes off to school, I'm not just you know nose diving into the couch for a 4 hour power nap.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially if we want to get that game out this year and a couple short stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well,
I figured out what I'm going
drafted
to do with
and
my current short story. I'm just going to go back and edit a couple of little things, and that'll just solve my problem.
yeah,
And
I gotta grind on mine tonight.
yeah,
Sometime
I've
tomorrow.
only got maybe 3 or 4 pages left that I could possibly squeeze into it before I'm done and want to move on to something else.
Yeah,
Even if it's TCG suggestion, because I've got some ideas for that, and obviously uh, put some time into the other stories I'm working on, because I've got 13 open documents now on Google Docs, and only one of them is done.
yeah.
That what the hell was the name of it? The first one. I don't even remember what I called it.
Sunset on
Sundown.
sundown.
Exactly. I've got too many freaking irons in the fire, and I need to put a couple out
Yeah.
and put them to bed, and get working on other stuff.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. What's that? 21. At least 25 open story ideas going on here.
Yeah, I'm going to try and keep it to a baker's dozen, and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I come up with an idea, I throw it down, and when I get around to thinking about it again.
oh yeah, half of mine are just a title. I know everything that up here. I know what I want to put down there,
Yeah.
but knocking out a
Well,
couple. You know,
well, that's the thing is you can put like just a section for ideas. Like, did you figure out how to create? Like I showed the subtitles and that. It's right up next to the font thing.
no, you and I are going to have to spend like an hour
I can give a quick thing right
tutorial.
now.
Yeah. Well, not right
Um,
now. I need to be on the thing and what have you.
okay, we'll do it, but it's right at the top where it says title, or it says normal text,
Mhm,
and then next to that we'll say like Arial or something like that. That's the font you're using.
mhm,
But normal text, if you click on it, it'll have like the title, subtitle, heading.
mhm.
But yeah,
Yes, I
we'll
do
do
need
that.
to do that stuff. I can't constantly rely on you and TCG and Raven to go in and fix a lot of that crap for me. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, I appreciate it, but
we're
it,
talking Google Docs to anyone who watches this later, which is what we as a group are using to write in. That way, we can share the things with each other and offer editing and other such notes
mhm,
because it's good for sharing that stuff. Um, Before we move on to some sort of formatting software, which I'm probably going to recommend Readsy because it's free, and you just move your document into that, and it will properly format it for moving over to ebook or paperback or whatnot. And it also has the proper list of stuff you need for title pages and copyright information and such. I don't know. What's your experience with that, George? You're not in our little coffee
Oh
clutch.
gosh, I'm not much of a writer yet. It's just sort of
Yeah.
I mostly I have us outlines of things and just use like yeah. Usually I'm using either Google Docs or just Word to write
Yeah.
some stuff. I've written some stuff in the past, and it's just sort of never really get to have time to. But like you were saying, there's like so many like ideas, and that just sort of come out. Like I have like a dozen like settings ideas.
Yeah. Well,
um,
I'm still waiting to see something from you so we can add it to the anthology there, George.
when we get around to that, oh, that's probably a year and a half away. So
I want to say a year
yeah. Well,
from
there's always thing like time gets added, so I always give like a,
mm,
right.
a large margin.
Right, but
Um,
if I allow myself to think in too wide a parameter of timelines,
yeah.
I keep putting shit off, and I've noticed you probably might have as well that I work really good at the closer to the deadline I get for whatever reason
yeah.
Same
uh,
here. Sometimes.
when I hear that deadline is coming up, I'm like, okay, time to you know kick the tires, light the fires, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
uh, that works good for me. Uh, it would even work better if we cut it down from 6 to 4 weeks, but not going to do that because uh, I need to have a little bit more under my belt before I can go. Okay, yeah, 2 weeks, no problem. I was watching a video on a Marvel Comics writer who would like write an entire comic book in a day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'm thinking that kind of space because the better we get at writing, the more length we'll want to put into each story. So
mm-hmm.
So what's the
yeah.
theme for the anthology?
Um,
Sci-fi westerns.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're doing different stuff each 6 weeks with a common recurrence of coming back to a shared sci-fi western universe. And I think the goal is that we will each release a book of short stories by the end of the year, and then whoever wants to move a short story over to an anthology will figure out how we're going to release that, and they'll be collected
Mhm.
as a collection of short stories in one
I I, I
volume.
I want to have like the absolute minimum of 12 stories,
Hmm.
so that we use the word 12 in the title. I know that sounds kind of corny, but uh,
Probably we should probably try and go for. It depends if they're between 3 and 30 pages per story. 12 can add up to a pretty thick tome that will cut
mhm,
into
mhm.
whatever by the end. Um,
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. It's nothing set in stone, but I would like to have at least, you know,
why do you have the idea of 12?
I don't know. It's just there was something that was, kind of like high noon kind of thing, you know.
Mm. And that's a 6 by 9 uh, book size.
Hmm.
Uh, George,
This
did you get that from Amazon?
more high school, college science fiction class.
Okay. Do you have a ruler
So,
nearby?
yeah, I actually do have a tape measure somewhere.
Yeah, because I know they default to 6 by 9 over on Amazon when you're
But this
setting
is like,
up your.
this is on very thin, kind of
Yeah,
thin textbook page paper.
yeah.
What is the book?
Um,
Short stories.
wait, oh, there's the phone.
No,
Like,
like
I'm putting it by the screen.
Yeah,
It's
that'll
got a
work.
lot of
yeah, you're mirrored. It's just sci-fi, and we can't make out what's in the white
how to
text. So
unmirror. Do I unmirror?
uh,
How am I mirrored? Oh, I
it,
guess.
it doesn't buy on. Don't worry about it for now, bro.
Oh yeah, it's got like a classic science fiction. It's got like Ray Bradbury, H.G. Wells, Norm E.M. Foster, John W. Campbell, who wrote the Who Goes There, which is the Thing is based on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Some Asimov, Philip K. Dick. Oh, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, some really cool stuff in here. So I was just kind of trying to figure how big. There's quite a few stories in this one, but it's like a thin textbook paper.
yeah.
What else?
You can do that on Amazon. I was just wondering what the
Oh, the size.
size of that
I'm
was.
sorry
Yeah,
about that.
it's okay.
9. Yeah, you're right. 9
By
by
6,
7.5.
7.5.
7.5.
Okay, so it'd be a little shorter than that on the.
Mhm.
Okay.
The width is, I think, their default. Like
Yeah.
when you go through the settings, if you don't change what they already have listed there, it'll be like plain white paper like that, and
Mhm.
6 by 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
In Imperial. Um,
Yeah, my
so
wife's been doing some like printing stuff. Like she's been printing like uh, making like a AI coloring book for grown-ups,
Hmm.
and she
yeah,
also has like a kind of like a journal for people, like where it's like sort of inspirational journal. And then she sent, I forget who she prints it through, but and it's similar size, I think, like you're describing. And they got some amazing covers they can do now.
yeah.
Well, we've got some decent talent behind us when it comes
Mhm,
to the AI work, as well as Jackie's insisted that he does the cover for at least one of the books. So
mhm.
that's going to
Well,
be a.
get him to write a freaking story.
I'm trying, but he's already up to here with his video project, and
Hmm.
in a couple of days, his vacation is over, back to the grind. Um, which
Hmm.
is a shame, but you know he's only
Yeah.
16, so
Hmm. Yeah.
the fact that he did the logo was the most he's
I
done.
keep losing it. I keep looking for something that's red.
I know. That's
Yeah.
why I did the community post and
Yeah.
elsewhere, because even I was like, hey, where'd my friggin' Discord go? Oh yeah, that's right. It's black and white now. Um,
Yeah, the other yesterday, I was looking through Max's Discord, wondering why none of your stuff was up there because it's red. It's like, oh wait, this is the wrong Discord. Uh,
I think that's how I found you guys through his show.
Mr. Max or
No, Max Liao.
Max Liao? Okay, yeah, probably. His is not red. Max Liao.
no,
Uh,
I actually got a chance to bump into him the other day. It seems like forever since I was on one of his shows. I know it's been over a year. It's something I need to remedy this year as well.
mhm.
And going on to other people's shows, I've been too focused here, and I wouldn't even be here if it weren't for people like Biggest Geekus and Max Liao and Bruce. It's like,
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things.
yeah, I mean,
If you're a social butterfly like yourself, it's good to do. I am not.
it's
Oh,
just I know what it's like when you open up a show and nobody pops in immediately. You're like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to do this solo. Fortunately, that's never really happened, but I know for some people that's
yeah.
like,
I just panic until someone shows up.
yeah, it's like, uh-oh. I can go for a while, but if I had to do
Mhm.
like a 2 hour show by myself, yeah,
Mm-mm.
no, I just,
Well, if you notice, most streamers who go by themselves are usually playing video games or crafting or doing something
Scripted.
besides just talking.
Yeah.
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 Where's George?
Uh, George is going to the bathroom. And he didn't mute his mic, so we're going to listen to him pee.
When he gets here,
I
we
can
need to
take
say,
this to
you
the
didn't
group.
even wash your hands.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking hate that.
Uh,
When I know someone's in my restroom in the house and I don't hear the sink afterwards,
they can leave.
yeah, it really grosses me out.
Oh, I fucking hate people that don't leave things the way they found them. Okay, so here we
What's
leave.
up, Owen? You want to pop in? You know where the link is, buddy.
Yeah. Um, Here we leave the bathroom door open and the bathroom light on when it's not occupied because, well, if it's 2 in the morning, you like it's at the end of the hallway, so if all those lights are out, it's pitch black on the second floor. So we leave that open so you can see and walk around without tripping over shit.
Hmm.
Also, it's really helpful to know if the bathroom's occupied because the door is closed. If the door's not closed, you know it's not occupied.
Yeah.
Which, really helps you from slamming on the door, like, say, 2 in the morning, or walking in on somebody. Um, you know, it makes sense. Instead of having small lights around.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because nobody uses like night lights anymore like they used to. I notice.
Yeah. Well,
Growing up, we had them all over the place.
we
Uh,
have one. We have one in the kitchen, but we just took to leaving the stove light on. But still, it doesn't help being upstairs on the second floor of the apartment.
yeah, I want to get
Uh,
something for the stairs that's not the big
yeah.
light that we have because then it like everybody's like, oh,
Well, like I said, the bathroom is like literally at the top of the stairs, so it shines down them.
that's cool.
And
I want to
we
get
just
something like something solar or something like that. Something
yeah.
like tap lights or something, or even just like some glow
Yeah,
in the
shut up, you hippie, with your solar power, your new age hippie. The more you speak, the more your shirt turns tie dye.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
Bullshit. So, did you wash your hands?
No, I just was checking on the kids.
It's still, did
Yeah.
you wash your hands? You were,
Yeah.
touching kids.
They got the sticky peanut butter jelly hands.
Yeah. Hey, that's funny you mentioned that. I was watching this short video earlier today, and it turns out that Charlton Heston, favorite actor of all time, his favorite food was peanut butter. I
Okay.
just I can't picture that. To me, it's like it's got to be like barely cooked steak or something.
Beef jerky.
Yeah, it's Chuck
Soylent
Heston
Green.
for Christ's sake. Peanut butter. I just can't picture him. Going getting a spoon and just
Yeah, well, that's what he calls beef jerky.
peanut butter. Oh, yeah.
Peanut butter is people.
Well, because it was Anthony Bourdain. It was a
Oh,
2 minute
fucking hate
video.
that guy. Fuck Anthony Bourdain.
Well, hold on.
He
It was an
died in the best way he could have.
Anthony Bourdain video talking about Soylent Green. So I had to watch it. It's 2 minutes.
Okay, it was like an AI video, or
I don't know, but it was just clips of him from a show or something he did where he was talking about Soylent Green, one of my favorite movies, and then at the end, oh, by the way, Chuck Heston's favorite food was peanut butter. He was actually a member of the peanut butter fan club or something weird like that. I'm just like, it's got to be made up. Um,
yeah.
I don't know.
We did a commercial for Skippy, and he has to say that.
And then I think he did
While eating a Slim Jim.
Slim Jim and peanut butter.
Just dipping it into peanut butter. Just
Well, no, these guys can attest. I on this show ate peanut butter straight from the jar using a chocolate bar.
that was a commercial when we were growing up. That was literally a commercial. People like walking by each other and like they bump into each other. Like, you got chocolate on my peanut butter. You got peanut butter on my chocolate.
Yeah, it was a
Reese's peanut butter cup. commercial.
Reese's peanut butter cup commercial. But no, I had a chocolate bar and I just dipped it into the thing with peanut butter and scooped out a big blob.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the least you could do is get one of those chocolate covered like breakfast bars or granola bars, and then dip
Fuck
that.
you,
in
they break too easy.
some of them.
You need something with a good rigidity. Those things are held together by like honey and freaking marshmallow. There's no rigidity there.
They're held together by honey and good thoughts.
Yeah.
What's that like?
No, a lot of them
Candy
have
where-
marshmallow there.
You're eating like sugar with a stick made of sugar. What was that? My kids had that one day. I'm like, oh my god, we had this.
Yeah, it was like it had like a
not
weird
pixie
name like
sticks.
Lick and Dip or something
Yeah.
like that, where it had the white chalky freaking thing.
Yeah, and then you lick it and it gets sticky, and then you dip it into like the sugar crystals with the flavor.
So basically,
the Kool-Aid packet.
Yeah,
You dip it into the Kool-Aid packet.
and the best part about it was just the freaking stick. It's like I just get those and just throw the powder away and just eat the stick.
Why?
Just not.
No. Remember Popeye cigarettes?
Yes. Which ones? The hard. The hard
The
ones
ones that were like chalk.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a better one though.
was like gum or something.
It was a piece of a piece of gum shaped like a cigarette, right? But it was
Yeah.
wrapped in wax paper, and if you blew into the fake cigarette, this like dust would come out looking like you were smoking.
You'd be throwing away your sugar then.
It was probably asbestos, but yeah.
I once had a chocolate cigar.
Yeah. Oh, those things are normal.
Yeah, and the bubblegum cigars. I remember someone handed those out because they had a kid. It was like, oh, they weren't a smoker, so they handed out bubblegum cigars. Of course, they were, basically that double bubble or some, crappy,
Yeah.
nickel piece of gum, but, in cigar. And of course, they were like pink for girls and like turquoise, not blue, but like turquoise for boys. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I ain't putting that in my mouth. Yeah, Bazooka Joe was really good.
Yeah.
Woman, why aren't you? Oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Why aren't you here?
Omen.
Well,
the
I'm
second
here
you
for
come-
a half hour.
The second you come into the room, the first private message you send is, "Let me in, you dumb bearded weirdo."
The first one I did was, and I was only been in here like a minute, was you're talking about gum and like the Bazooka Joe gum, and then
Yeah.
he's going off and he's going, well, why aren't you in here?
Okay, I'm just making
If I
sure
were
because
saying
you've been in the green room for like a day in the past, waiting to be let in.
well, that was only because you're saying, well, why aren't you in here? I'm like, I am in here. You've just been ignoring me.
Sorry, I've got like my when you do these things, you've got literally like three
Three
different
windows
screens going on. The chat, the you
panel.
guys, the cameras, and then there's these two other bars. The one on the left is meaningless, but the other one I've got to double check with the chat and crap like that.
Yeah.
So how you been, Omen?
Well, doing better, going through physical therapy, but he told me I only have to do the exercise every other day. So today is my lazy day. But yeah, it's still sore, but at least I can move it. So that makes a big difference. But
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
what she said.
you don't want to end up like us. Last time I was on camera, everybody asked me when the baby was due.
oh, shit.
Yeah,
Well, he's like, well, you can go to the gym, which I'm like, yeah, but I do a lot of stuff in the evening when I want to. So
What's
I'm
up,
doing
Cal?
everything at home, but
I gotta start doing that. I got the membership. My gym's open 24 hours. So
yeah, the part of it is that for the rehab, it's like, well, he wants certain movements, but I mean, he's got it so I can do it at home. But
yeah,
yesterday I did was like, holy crap, that hurt.
yeah. I gotta start going. I was thinking about going at like 3 in the morning when it's like
Yeah,
dead.
Raven, I'm gonna need like a case of those when I quit smoking.
Didn't
Yeah.
Congress try to ban those for some reason? Um,
What? Cherry cigars.
Candy.
candy cigarettes, and because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it glorifies this, and kids are doing.
Yeah, they did. They banned them here, which sucks because I used to get the Popeye cigarette pack all the time. The little chalk sticks.
Well, that's okay. You get those. Now they're just making me little tombstones like this. They taste the combination between chalk and something else.
I
It's
used
chalky sugar.
I used to go get a bottle of root beer, A&W root beer,
Mhm.
and a pack of Popeye cigarettes. And it'd be like less than $1.
Oh, see, I did one thing. I
Yeah.
used to go when I
Or
was
a
in,
buck even.
oh, I was in Long Beach, and I worked night shift, and so I was on the
Wow,
Navy
Cal,
base,
I've never even heard of that.
and I went on the Navy base, and I used to get the IBC root beer,
Mhm.
and in the bottle. So
Hmm.
I was doing that. I was walking back and I was drinking, and man, this chief petty officer, he flipping out. What the hell? You're drinking, blah blah blah. I'm like, what is your problem? He's like, you're not supposed to be drinking beer. And I'm like, it's root beer. Yeah. He's like, I'm not, hey, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. You used to get the Marlboro ones too, or no, Camel. We'd have the Camel ones, and they'd be sitting right next to
I have never
the
seen those.
uh, Popeye ones, but the pack was smaller, like just a little bit smaller, so I never got them.
I remember eating candy cigarettes, but that's been what, 40 years ago or something.
Yeah, it was at least 25 years ago for me. I was like
That
7 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah, and everyone's like,
So 30
I
years
don't
ago.
under, I don't understand why everyone's flipping out over. Well, it teaches kids to smoke, and like, look, I tried smoking, I hated it, but I'd eat the candy cigarette,
Yeah,
it's fine. So,
Nice, Cal. Have to send me a picture of that. I have never seen that before.
yeah.
so
Anybody remember the? I think they were bubblegum records.
no, no.
Yeah, they
No.
came in like a sleeve
They
as
would be
well.
they would be famous album covers, and inside would be like a bubblegum record. They're only about yay big, and you're supposed to like collect the packet of all your favorite albums.
No.
I
I
still
remember them.
remember what was it, and people talk about the tops cards, but they'd have that piece of gum, and
Hmm.
depending on how dry it was, told you how long that pack had been sitting there.
Yeah. Well, they were always like glass for me.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
And you just have to throw out whatever that back card was because it was ruined. It had that like a yellow strip of where the fat or whatever in the gum.
The oils that were seeped out into the card.
Yeah,
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 I
just
still have
sponged out.
I still have a crap ton of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back tops cards. The only ones I ever really collected.
I
Uh,
collected the Superman movie cards. I had most of them, and then they just disappeared one year.
They didn't.
and
Yeah,
now they go for like, dollars a piece, and I'm like, I've got like a long box full of extras. I'm like, I got to get off my ass and put those on eBay or something. But I learned a long time ago, don't sell cards in the mail. Just don't.
yeah. Um,
You will get ripped off. The and eBay always sides with the buyer, even if you've got the tracking number and proof, etc. It's like, you're kidding me. The tracking number says it was delivered. Well, they say it wasn't. Well, then they're fucking lying. How hard is that to figure out?
mhm.
Like the postman is going to risk his job over that. He doesn't know what's in the package.
Yeah,
He's going to risk his life over a freaking Yu-Gi-Oh card or something. No.
no. Um, yeah, that's a shame. Uh, there are probably brokers that you could go to for that.
Well,
Yeah, or I could just wait 2 years and sell them at the shop, and you know
Yeah.
go that route. Obviously, once I do that, I will find a better way to ship things, so that I can, have that dual income sort of thing going. Because I do plan on
Well,
offering to buy things that come in the door instead of just selling. Because if people are too dumb to, not figure out eBay or whatever and
well,
sell,
some people just don't like the hassle, right? Like you said, they don't
where it's
want
a
to
one
list.
time thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I found this. I wonder what it's worth. Oh, that shop over there, kind of like a pawn shop, but I don't want to have to, really get the pawn shop license because that's a huge hassle.
Well, you only really need that if you're worrying about like the pawning broker things because
Yeah.
it's a lending service, and then
what
you also have to like do the worrying about things that were stolen kind of thing. So you gotta like
and do what Alpha Investments does, where they just buy out people and
Yep.
can't sell his stuff, and
yeah,
as far
always
as
I,
be
and,
that,
willing
and
to
of
buy
course,
out.
I'm no dummy. I'm going to try to trade first. It's like, you see anything in the shop you want. Let's do a
Yeah,
trade. Oh no, you just want cash? Okay, I'll give you $8.
yeah,
But it's a Superman number one. Yeah, okay, 12.
I always thought it was funny because people would try doing that. It's like,
yeah,
well, just go sell it to someone else.
yeah.
Well, that is, I don't know what the value of a lot of stuff is because really the money, like you said, is in those collectible card games, whether it's Magic or Pokemon or whatever. And
It's really not hard. Just do a search for the item you're trying to sell, and you'll know what it's worth within a minute.
Yeah, and just you know,
well, and usually you offer about half of whatever it's being sold on eBay or whatever.
yeah,
It's like, well, how much do you need that money?
Yeah,
yeah.
because just because it says it's worth $100 on eBay, that doesn't mean I'm going to sell it right this instant. Like, I'll buy.
Or I'm definitely not going to sell things at a no profit margin for
Yeah,
myself, right?
yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. If you can't double your money, it's really not worth it. And believe it or not,
yeah,
most people actually uh, make make a profit margin of about 1,000% as opposed to 50.
Oh,
yeah,
see, most places I've looked at is when you actually look at the profit margin, you have to include all of the costs. You're only making
yeah,
like 10% or something.
yeah.
You have an actual brick and mortar, you're not making a lot of profit off of it.
On each individual item, the point is the ancillary. That's why I told you, especially Shadow, when you open up a game store, is don't worry, like don't have the game store expecting that is going to be uh, party on, George. We'll see you around. Um, have a good night.
Take care, George. Thanks for.
Yeah.
Is he like leaving the show
Yep.
or
Yeah,
just?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's going to bed.
Okay,
Yep.
take care, man. We'll see you next week
See you, George.
or sooner,
Yeah.
like tomorrow morning.
In front of your house.
I mean Monday morning. I keep thinking it's Sunday.
Yeah, well, I'm joking too, right? But still.
It's close enough to Sunday. Depends if you're in
Yeah.
Eastern time zone or not.
Well, it technically is Sunday
For
for me.
you, yep.
Yeah, it's been for a half hour. Um, yeah, it's because like if you're gonna do that, you can't have that business model, the game store business model is not a profitable one. Most of them close within 3 years because you know it's just not a profitable business. The people that do it because they love doing that kind of thing, and they're not really worried about the money.
Well, most of
Um,
them that I've noticed that do profit have other stuff on the side that they.
well, that's what I was getting to is like the ancillary business is the profit margin.
That's what like Alpha Investments does. Is he has a brick and mortar store, but he also buys what Magic and holds on to it for years, and then sells it after 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 all of the when it's now become collectible at that point. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Where I don't know what your budget is, but if you can find a strip mall that you can buy outright instead of rent, uh, like a lot of those places also get killed because they're just living on a shoestring budget and they don't own the property. So
Yeah, I wouldn't do a strip mall. To me, if you're going to do it, because let's be honest, most people that are going to games are going to go for the slightly older, which is not
you're
that hard. It's they already have a car, so you can attach it to your house or something, and that would be good.
What's up with your mic, Omen?
yeah, you're cutting in pretty bad.
I don't know. It's probably because I'm just not talking too loud.
Yeah. No, the reason why I say something like a strip mall is because he can rent out the rest of the spaces and be making money from the other businesses, rentership or whatever.
Yeah, commercial real
But
estate has really taken a bad turn.
well,
Well, because the
yes,
economy sucks, and having a small business is you've got everything going against you. But
wrapped
if you've
up.
got if you've got like 4 or 5 shops, and you're renting them out or using them yourself for other businesses, then you
Mhm.
can kind of have your own little community of shops. You've got the restaurant, you got the nail salon, you've got the game
Like the
shop.
the burger joint is not going anywhere anytime soon. The
See
nail
this.
salon isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
See
The
to me,
rub and tug.
well, to me, if you're going to do two things, is what you do is you put in, of course, your game store, and then you have a laundromat, and then you have a small restaurant next to it.
Laundry mats are disappearing like no tomorrow, and that is a high, like there is a high investment in setting those things up because those machines, like laundromat grade machines, are fairly expensive per unit,
I'm telling
and
you,
that's
having
not
looked at
even including
laundromats are
that
not
they
really.
are money generating cash cows, but they do require like leave one space open until you have the money for it, but you're looking at like something like eight thousand
Quarterly.
dollars per unit.
Yeah,
That
if you
that's
For
if you're getting
washer.
something new. What you try to do is
No,
try to used one. Yeah.
yeah, because I was watching the whole thing on setting up a laundromat and
I was watching Investment Joy when he was doing that stuff, showing the
okay,
laundromat and stuff, and he was
yeah,
showing it. But he also, when you looked at what he was doing there, is he had a 2-story, and he was the upstairs he was renting out. The bottom had this. He also was putting in Coke machines. And that's the other
yeah.
thing is
Oh,
if you
you have
booyah.
vending machines every fucking
Oh
where in
yeah.
Shadow.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
get the stupid go on Alibaba and wait the 6 months for them to send you the $7,000 automated pizza vending machine.
But I mean, no. See, you don't want that because then you have to
No,
deal
I'm just
with
joking because it's like the luxury line of vending machines, right? Like it makes you a fresh pizza
I know,
with it.
Cal. I've been watching them myself.
No. I understand that, but what I'm referring to is some of those things because a lot of people don't have in their apartments for washers and dryers. But the other
Yeah.
thing is, if you're going to do a role playing game, people are stuck at a laundromat anyway. So at that point, they're going to be looking to spend money. So if you have a little restaurant next door, That's what they're going to do. And you have it because there was a place over in College Station that was called Harvey Washbangers. They literally had a restaurant next door, and it had up on the wall telling you when the machine would turn off and things. And so while people are there, it's like, why not just, hey, look, you can spend money on food, so they don't have to go anywhere at that point. And
Well, like one of the things with a laundromat is you always want to have that one or two people that work there that will just do the like you drop off your clothes and they'll put
Yeah,
it in the
the fluff
machine.
and fold or whatever you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
call it.
yeah.
And then of course in the back room you got the illegal crap game or poker game.
Yeah, whatever. You
joking.
you could probably like I say if you can find one that's big enough to have like a gaming hall on one end and a pool hall on the other end, and laundromat and a burger joint in between. You don't need too many locations.
I like the idea of a nail salon because that way, the girls can go, if they're not gamers, they can go hang out, get their
Yeah,
nails did and
did
right.
I don't know. It depends on how you market the nail salon. There's a certain
Mhm.
class of person you don't want hanging out in the area because then it's just going to be like those videos of a certain class of person fighting in a 7-Eleven.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying
That's why the nails.
the weave and super long nails is not what you want to be selling anywhere.
No, that's
Yeah,
where the
but
nail
you know
salon
what?
specializes.
But
And then a
One at a
how
tattoo
much money they
parlor.
spend on that?
Yeah. What?
A tattoo parlor, of course, has got to go in there as well.
Yeah, the money they spend on that, yeah, is pretty high per item, but it just creates so much of a ruckus for everyone else that it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know what? It only takes a few tasers, and you just play it in looped. That tends to solve a lot.
Yeah, and then you end up getting put in jail for
Alrighty then,
self
Cal.
defense or whatever.
No.
Yeah.
You don't. You just
You gotta have budget for a on-site security guard that can actually run. Just saying.
you didn't need him to run. You just need him to be able to shoot because you know what? Then you just sell the video footage of customers that have been
The
tased.
salty cracker, right? Like half his videos now are shit like that. Somebody doing something stupid. Um, or
It,
Yeah.
put
it's
them on my own alternate YouTube channel. Which is another thing. Uh, using YouTube or Rumble or whatever to promote the businesses only makes sense. Even if it's just a local area. You can have live games and other things going on and
Yeah.
I'm
stuff.
just saying I think commercial real estate's going is going to be relatively cheap. So if you can figure out something like you can do a game store, like I said, man, you can make your money off is either food and drinks. So that's what you want to have there. And
Yeah,
then
well, that's why I always say have that one location that's a
yep.
burger shack or whatever.
Oh no, I agree with you on that. But then I also said do the laundromat because people that don't want to play the game will still go over and get your food there anyway.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
That's if need be, you just park a food truck out front, and that makes it even easier. So you don't even have to rent. Okay.
Yeah. Well, also it depends. Like having a laundromat, but you could only find a strip mall in the middle of a like an office block.
Industrial zone. Yeah.
Yeah. Like okay, you might drive out there for the game hall, but you're not going to drive out there
Take care,
for
Cal. I'll see you
a
soon.
laundromat, right? Have a good night, Cal.
I don't know if you must be in a different area because people drive where I look at the laundromats. They tend to be on the edge of the city.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very odd.
Of the edge, and then
But you know
a
what I
lot of
mean?
them-
Like maybe you have it, maybe you don't, but it's like what's going to be more convenient for the people in the area?
No, I agree with that. But my point being is what I see with laundromats is they tend to be just kind of standalone by themselves off to the edge.
I've
More
never
at the
seen one
edge.
that's been standalone, but also it's just the culture of, like you said, the culture of the area, right?
No, I think it's just that, like you said, it does cost a lot to start in the middle of the city, and
Yeah. Well,
I
no,
live-
just the business itself
I-
is like a upfront heavy cost in.
yes, but I'm saying, but when you include that with the real estate, it just gets too high. So what I think a lot of them do is that they move more to the edge. Again, I don't live in a big city, So
Yeah.
it's driving 10 minutes is not a huge deal. Um, if you live in a big city, then of course you want it like right in the center. But for me, it's where do I look at? And most of them were a lot of Mexicans, um, things like that. So yeah, you just have to. You have
Well,
to have
if I move to Texas, Jackie's got a lot of family out there, and I'll just put him to work.
No, you
exactly.
just drop them. You don't even have to take them with you. You just drop them off at the Home Depot. You'll feel right at
Just
home.
whatever you do, Shadow, don't make sure it's not
You're like,
Chinese laundry. Otherwise, it'll go boom.
it'll go boom. Oh.
So yeah, I mean you'll have but no, I mean there's a lot of options out there. But yeah, but I've been like in San Antonio, where Bruce is. I forgot what the place is called, but they have their game store. It's not real, but they have, I think it's like 6 or 7 rooms with games, but they're serving pizzas all the time, and they're going out there and
Yeah.
they have a big long table and they have like four. They've got like
That's a
five or
pretty
six.
big game store. 7 rooms.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is. But again,
It's not common.
it's a little strip mall. Then right next to it, they have a LARPing place where you can get swords and armor and stuff. Um,
Cool.
and but yeah, it's a little strip mall right there. But I think they're making their real money off of the food because people
Oh,
stay there for 4
absolutely,
hours. Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, I
and
remember the game store I had back when I was in high school, and they were talking about it. So I turned to the guy Lance and was like, "Why do you not have a pop cooler?" And they looked at one and bought like just the half height one, the like 3 foot tall one,
Mhm.
and he really thanked me for suggesting that because it became like one of their highest revenue points in the store after that. It's just a fucking pop cooler.
yeah, it's called
Um,
Night Watch Games. Um,
yeah, Night Watch
Yeah,
games.
I've seen videos from inside that place. That place is sweet.
Yeah,
well, we went down there right before we found out that my friend's mother was in the hospital, which she didn't tell him. It's because like he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stop at my
Night
parents,"
Watch games.
And now all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, we're in the hospital." Like, "Oh, what do you mean she was in the emergency room?" They're like, "Oh, we didn't want you to worry." That's what they told him. He's like, "Ah, how long has she been here? 24 hours? You didn't."
That's
we
kind of
went. The only reason we found out is because we went down to San Antonio to watch the annular eclipse. And so we watched that, and then we said, "Hey, we're going to hit the night watch." And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to stop by with my parents." We're driving back, and like, what in the world? But it was pretty cool. But yeah, they've got a big long table where a bunch of people can play. Then they have their own little private rooms off in the back, and I think that's a great thing to do. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only problem with that is, getting people, especially right now, to cough up the money for the rental for the room. You
well,
know,
you're thinking it the wrong way. You don't really rent the room out. What you're doing is you're getting the food is what's really paying for everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not about nickel and diming. It's about having that ancillary service.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
because
most of the shops that I see that do that, they do in fact charge, a fee to play, and
yeah, I
that's
recommend against that.
yeah.
Except for
everywhere I've been
tournaments, like
had
you have
that.
a tournament entry fee, and then maybe you have like if you can get a big enough space that will give you the private room for parties and stuff like that. But you always have like the game stores I've always been to have that one or two table that's just like open for whoever shows up or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, the,
Um,
the one place we have, I haven't been there in a while. It's a comic book shop, but it's got a shop right next door, which is kind of how I would do it. And it's massive. And there's got to be like 30 or 40 tables uh,
yeah,
for, whatever kind of gaming you want to do. Now, mind you, uh, I would want to section it off because, the role players versus the card gamers versus the miniature gamers, different kinds of noises might be disruptive for different
hmm
kinds of play.
So in the Night Watch one, I don't think that I don't think that they were catering towards the miniature war gamers, but
um, I'm
but
looking
they
at the picture. Uh,
well,
they
I'm just
had
saying.
they had some guys with like a Crisis Protocol or one of those sort of games. That's the Marvel game. which
You
is
mean
a
the board
miniature
game? Well, I mean, the
Uh,
board game's different, but what I'm referring to is like everywhere I've been, it's been free open tables.
yeah,
Whether it's Dragon's Lair in Austin, I went to another one. There's one up here in Feline. All of them have been open because, and what he was doing was he was selling a lot of his drinks to the people sitting there, and
Yeah,
then he was
yeah.
selling
that's
food.
clearly got to be a huge part of it. Uh, where the first game store I ever worked at, not only did it have vending machines, but it also had arcade games.
See, that's the other
Yeah.
thing I would do is I would put it in the arcade games, and but then the other one that was going into, like I said, it's with
If you've got the space, well, definitely. If you've got like, if you find a space that has like a 12 by I don't know 30-foot room, you just line the walls with fucking arcade machines and have the one, and then like they have that machine that's just a quarter dispenser. You
Yeah,
put your $5 in it, it gives you $5 worth of quarters or whatever.
or tokens, which I
Yeah, I
prefer.
wouldn't don't do tokens. Everybody fucking hates tokens, and
Really?
you will spend more money on those because you have to buy the tokens,
Oh,
and once the tokens go home, so uh, little Jimmy comes in, puts his $5 in the machine, gets $5 worth of tokens, and then he ends up having to go home with half those tokens. They just end up in a landfill somewhere, and then you got to buy more tokens.
so well. Here's the other point too. When you're looking at that, is you are um, it's
Also,
if you give them quarters, guess what they're going to do? They're going to buy more stuff with those quarters. And so,
Yeah,
what about
that
the
same that same quarter machine can be used at the laundromat and at the vending machine.
what about the games that have like the
Yeah.
card that you slide in?
That's an infrastructure you got to set up, right? Like the quarter already exists. You don't
so
got to pay for that to be set up. You don't have to pay like a middleman for the interaction fee. Like you're not going to set up that infrastructure yourself. You're going to lease that from someone, and then they're going to take a cut from it, right?
okay, so a local bar that I was at for the video games is you come in, you pay a certain amount of money. Um, they have a bunch of video games, arcade games, and it's basically you can play as much as you want in there.
It's
Uh,
free, but then
well,
you got the entrance.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
pay entrance fee, but then
Right.
that's for a bar. You're not getting like little Jimmy coming in and playing Street Fighter for the afternoon, right?
Well. They allow kids in up until 8, and then after that they have
Yeah.
to leave. They do role playing games there, and then they also serve some food. And that now when you go to Night's Watch, I don't know if they serve alcohol, but they do have a little. They have a little kitchen in the back, so it's just not microwave. And so then they come out with really fast stuff, hot pizzas and things. And man,
Yeah.
if you can do that, you could upcharge a bit and it doesn't really cost you that much. But again, if you're there for 4 hours, let's be honest, they're going to drink 2 or 3 drinks. They're going to spend $5 or $6 on those alone. Then they're going to buy some foods. There's another $10 or $15, and then if they're going to, where are they going to go play? They're going to come to yours all the time because it's a social activity as much as anything else. And then with Night's Watch, they had, to be fair, they had a long table where a bunch of people could play the role-playing games in the long table, and then they had a few rooms in the back. The big thing is just making sure that you have a lot of ancillary things so people want to go there, even if they're not going to be playing the games.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Because I know when I hung out at Nexus, right? I'd be sitting at they had the one table for painting. That was my game store back in the day. That you could just like sit down and paint. If you had your own paints, you used them. They would give you access to the store paints. They always had some paints there for like $1 or $2 or whatever. But I just be buying like they had the rack of Lay's chips or whatever, or the pop thing.
Yeah, you go to your
Yeah,
local Sam's Club or Costco and stock up on that sort of thing.
yeah.
And
Or like if you can just like you can get Coke or Pepsi or your local retailer, and they will just deliver that shit to you for a much greater discount if you're buying in bulk. If you're buying a cooler's worth of stuff,
Well. That's why he's mentioning Sam's and Costco because that's what they do.
Yeah, you can get the if you want to pick it up yourself, but they actually do deliver those stuff as
Right,
well.
it's just like they would to a liquor store,
Yeah,
something a 7-Eleven or whatever. Sure,
yeah,
but you'd have to be doing kind of, I think, a lot more business. And with I mean, initially, going with the Sam's Club, you can buy exactly what you can afford, and you're not into a
yes.
contract.
Well, I'm
Um,
also saying that if you do go, like I said, the strip mall, you could have like the convenience store in quotation marks
mhm.
next to your thing, and you're not just buying for the one location. You're buying
Well,
for all
but,
of
but
them or whatever, right?
here's the thing, though: is you can, the problem with that is that you tend to be locked into certain things. But yeah, if you can get, you know, if you can get some of the specialty stuff in there, I'm just thinking
You
what
know,
they.
another business I was thinking of potentially doing there is I don't know if you guys have them, but like every 2 weeks we go and we buy not bottled but uh, purified water.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one guy operation, and in all of those stores they also sell other things. Like one of the places we go, it's run by
You know, you can get a reverse osmosis rig off of Amazon for about $70. I guess TCG said goodnight.
I didn't
Uh,
see that, but okay, TCG.
no, he just ditched. He didn't say anything.
Well, if you want to come back in, make it quick because I'm going to end it at top of the hour because my battery is about to die on this thing. And
Well,
Top of the
I
hour, or
think
the half hour mark.
I think like a
top of
lot
the
of
hour.
things is
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, yeah. One
you
of them.
just have to see what's available and what works, and then you just rotate it pretty easily. The other thing is if
Mhm.
you buy your own vending machine, you're
Mhm.
not limited what you can put in there.
Yep.
Whereas if you you
And you're
know
not cutting it with whoever you're, and they're
Right.
not that expensive. You can get a vending
The
machine for
only
like
thing
fifteen
is,
hundred bucks or
repairs,
less.
repairs and refunds and crap like that. But yeah, I do like the idea of
well, here's what you
a number
do.
of vending machines.
Here's what you do is I mean the problem is that a lot of people forget that they're going to go off, but if you're going through there, is you get an apartment on top and you live on top.
That
Yeah,
was the plan. That was
you can
absolutely
do that. Um, Trust me, if you got like a vending machine for chocolate bars or like canned
chill.
soda or chips, you are going to make enough money off of them to afford hiring a repair guy to come out and repair them if one breaks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also, most things that need to be repaired on those, you could probably find a YouTube video to give you a
Mhm.
cursory look. A lot of those things are very mechanical. Like there are very little computer components to a vending machine, even the
Mhm.
ones that look like they have a lot of computer components. Most of that's cosmetic. So
But at the end of the day, is that's what it says. Look at what Investment Joy did, and he was going over how much he was making per machine and everything else. And
And not only that, but there are a lot of products you could, like dice, in the tubes and things like that.
hmm
Especially if
that
you,
that also because you're putting those in a vending machine, you're not having to worry about dealing with customers for them. Like for like a $3 purchase of 5 dice or whatever, buy those in bulk off of Alibaba or whatever and package them yourself.
well, I was also
Like
thinking about doing the same with, if it's possible, like packs of cards. Whatever the new Magic or Pokemon or whatever.
they have those. Those like card vending machines have been around forever. So
Really,
well, here
okay,
and
yeah,
here's the important part: they won't be stolen
yeah,
while they're in
that's a
there.
huge
That's a
thing.
big difference.
yeah.
Having worked in the in shops, I the first day at a particular shop I was working at, my
Just
first
don't put
day.
trading cards in there. Only use cards that have rounded corners because when they fall down, the corners are going to get fucked up.
Check this out. My very first day of this working at the shop, the manager calls me on the phone, says there's $100 in the drawer. The guy's name was Chris. He's going to show you what's what. And right before that guy left, he went into the register and pulled out a freaking 20, and he was going to just blame it on me. And I'm like, oh no, you're not. And freaking grabbed him. Freaking called the manager. It's like, okay, put him on the phone. Fired him on the spot, and I took over and I started making bank. Oh my god, I was making so much money on the side because I would buy. My friend back in the day of Magic, the early packs, you could, if you knew how to like slide the cards, you could figure out what rare was in the pack because you could read through the plastic wrapper. So he would do that, and it'd be like, okay, here's a Siobhan Dragon. Okay, all right, I'm buying that pack, and then I would take the rares and I would either sell them for $10 a piece, which was
Scummy.
I know, and then I would either
I don't
sell
blame you though.
or trade two for one. You bring in two rares, I'll give you the rare you want.
Are you
And
sure you didn't work for Toys R Us?
no, I didn't.
No, no,
I
no, no. I
mean,
mean, I'm not sure if you heard about that, but that's what they
long
do with
time
a lot
ago.
of the collectible stuff. Is that the employees would get all that, and so then you got
Oh
the
yeah, I've heard
like
horror
Well,
stories.
yeah, because you're working at a minimum wage fucking job, so you learn the scams to make extra money. Like, why wouldn't you?
Dude, I wasn't making bank, and I was, living on my own. And there came a point where I had this pocket in my front pocket, and it was just, you know, $500 worth of cards, and I'd walk home making my week's pay in a day, just trading and selling cards, because the owner didn't want to sell singles at all. And I'm like, you'll sell the packs, but you don't want to sell singles? Like, no, 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 no. Like, okay, I'll take care of that for you. Um, yeah,
Yeah, do you mind if I do?
yeah, but
but
this the same owner of the shop had a special below the counter shelf of certain kinds of anime that you had to ask for. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
but I let's see because I've gone the hobby stores basically everywhere I've been have been like oh everything on the edge was the collectible stuff like toys and things like that, and then in the center was about 2/3 anime, if not more, and then the rest was graphic novels and then just a few of the singles because um, IDW, Diamond, all of those were selling comics that just people didn't want to buy, but they'd make you buy a certain number to get the collectible. And
You know what though? Diamond had. Uh, uh, I used to get the Diamond catalog and previews, and if you had the money, you could freaking. If you spent 1,000, you got $2,000 credit.
no, no, I understand, but what I'm saying is, but no one wanted to buy those comics. Was the point? Is because the quality amongst DC and Marvel went down so much they did all their woke things, and it's just like,
Oh no, this was back in
oh yeah,
the '90s,
no, no, no.
and
I'm talking about the last
yeah, I wouldn't
5 years or
even
so.
bother with that. I won't do comics except the ones I'm trying to get rid of. That'll be a small section until I start buying up more. But comics are, even old comics is
It's
just,
a dying collecting
yeah,
medium.
it's gonna be as dead as stamps in 10, 20 years.
The money's in is the manga, not in the U.S. comics.
Even I think manga is going to be like the only thing that keeps manga alive is because it's more mature.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying
Yeah,
it
well,
isn't, but
it
it's like
also depends
everything
on
else.
your neighborhood too. I mean, if you don't have anybody who's into it at all, it's not going to sell. You know,
Well, but I'm saying, but when I've been to stores now, it's majority manga for all
right?
of
But
it.
how long is that fad you think going to last?
well,
It's going to last longer than the current comics they're producing for the American.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
easy. But
that's
I
what I
mean,
mean.
but in comparison to other things that could be sold, it's going to be kind of iffy.
Like I said, it's just when it's stores and what they
It,
get there. But like
yeah,
everything
it's
else,
going to be very, you're going to have to really have your finger on the pulse of your customer base, what they want. There's got to be special order policies and things like that. It's like, you want this, okay, I'll get it for you. Uh,
sure.
in addition to, uh, even if it's not uh, super profitable, I will have like uh, a lot of the like my eBay stuff, like books and games, old stuff. There's got to be like a at least a bookshelf of the crazy old shit or weird shit that people brought in. Uh, that
See
they
now
it's
if
just
you could, this would be interesting, and I don't know exactly how it would work out. But if you could get it so you could do a printing thing, so then it's like, oh, well, what I'm saying is, oh, you know how drive-through has their thing? Well, guess what? If you buy it through drive-through, I'll print it for this amount of money. If you
Mhm.
had the printer
I've
going,
been thinking about not just that, but 3D printing. I was talking to Brian.
sure, yep,
If I get a guy or two and a bunch of machines and have a section, it's like, 3D printing, so that way the customers are seeing the stuff being printed, you know,
yep.
and then, then when it's done, it's put on a shelf. Oh, you want that, or you want us to print you this or that? Uh,
Well, the big thing
And
is if you can just do it yourself and say, hey, you bring me your STL file, I'll print it off for you, and
yeah,
then
and
sure.
resins have gotten to a point where you can actually print metal miniatures that won't just break when you drop them.
well, like, even if you do the FDM for the bigger pieces, because a lot of people don't have it for the big pieces. They can do the smaller stuff for the Elegoo and stuff, but if you can get the bigger stuff, like for the FDM printer, and say,
Yeah.
hey, guess what? We'll build you a side of a castle or something, which is just too expensive in resin. Then it's
Mhm.
like, okay, you let the filament run.
And then have people, who want to make a couple of bucks painting it up while they're waiting for the next pickup game or something like that, and or even uh, let people come in and offer their services. It's like, okay, you want to paint people's stuff, I'll get a cut, and we'll bring the customers to you.
Well, yeah, it just depends on it just depends on how you want to do everything. But yeah, the big thing is getting people in the door and getting them. Like I said, if you can do it where it's the custom stuff, so you don't have a lot of overhead,
Mhm.
um, or what I want to say, if
Well,
you don't
I
have a lot
already
of
figured out, getting
product.
people in the door. You've got to have like regular events and like signs and balloons and all that crap, getting people's attention as they're driving by. Whether it's the like if you go to like uh, Walmart or some of these places, there'll be a little booth outside where they're cooking hot dogs or whatever for charity, but have like damn near a regular weekend event where people are coming to, they see the signs, they see the guy in the goofy costume waving a thing, or
I don't even think you have to do that because from personal experience, gamers will find the game store.
sure,
But
if,
that's
if there isn't
hit or
already an
miss.
established game
Yeah,
shop.
you just gotta properly fill out all the crap for Google Maps,
Hmm.
and that's all you need to do for that these days. You don't
And
need
it,
you don't need wavely armed guy on your roof. Just make
I
sure you put
still
an
like the
actual
idea.
sign out front of
Well,
your
I like the
your
idea of
store.
having like outdoor events, like flea markets or things like that. Offer the parking lot up to people who want to do the flea
Maybe
market
like
thing.
once a month or whatever.
Yeah, whatever comes up, whatever seems like the thing to do, especially if it's a whole lot, and you don't have a lot of people, coming to those businesses, having a flea market where you rent the tables and cordon off an area where people can come in and buy and sell junk. That gives me another opportunity to buy things that I'm willing to resell on eBay. It's like, oh, this guy doesn't realize he's got this really.
Speaking of eBay,
well, it depends on how many, which city you're going to be going towards. Um,
What is this?
and it's a card vending machine.
Oh,
It's a small one. I've seen these. Usually, you
yeah,
have
I've seen
like
those
four
too.
or five of them along, and the cards are that's for an individual card are stickers because that's
Right.
what it shows on
I've
the one
actually
side.
put money into some of these back in the day.
And it's just like right there. You see, I don't know. I have to pull my thing over. You see this right here?
Hmm.
This right here. This is a sleeve of cardboard things, and you put your card in there, and it comes out the slot. That way, it's not damaged
Hmm.
more than whatever, and they just unfold it, and it's a random card inside.
Hmm.
So you could have that full of rares. You just have one of those full of rares, or one of them full of fucking I don't know lands or whatever.
Hmm.
well,
For
if you can
for
do that, then what you do is you set up for different prices. Hey, these are
yeah,
commons, this,
yeah.
and
No,
then these
absolutely,
rares,
absolutely.
and then people are like, oh, this is an actual rare, and they say, okay, guess what? It's a true random rare. It's like, okay, it's like $15. So you make a little bit on one side and a little bit on the other, however you do it. Yep.
Or if you're doing like the store is opening a box of magic cards and putting the rares in the glass case, and then putting the rest of these things in here for 50 or 75 cents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because what was it, 14 bucks a pack of magic cards?
No,
Is
I
it
don't
that
know.
high? I thought it was
I don't know,
something.
it's
I,
something
I
stupid
don't
like
think
that.
it's
Can
quite
be.
that high, but I get your point.
Oh no,
And
They literally go from anywhere from $3 to $50 for your average pack.
Is that a new
Because they have
pack? Is the
special
point?
new
well,
packs, yes.
it's just new packs. You sure it's 50 bucks a new pack? I'm pretty sure those are like
Yes, because
new
those
old
those are
stock.
specialty. No, those are specialty packs,
Mhm.
such as the Godzillas or the.
Oh,
Okay, well you don't do it that. You
those
do it
types.
just with the normal releases, and then you take how many cards are in the pack, divide the costs
Well, no,
evenly
even
between
well,
cards,
it
and
depends on how
set the machine to that price, right?
yeah, because it looks like with this, you can't charge more than 50 cents because
No, you see how it's got the 5 slots, right? That
right,
means you can put up to 5 quarters in the
right.
machine.
But what I mean is you can't set a price of like 15 bucks. They go,
No. Now, if
like a
this
slot
if this
machine.
machine was in Canada, you could easily have $5 because you could put or $10 because you could put 5 toonies in there, right?
Okay.
But it's not, obviously it's not a Canadian machine, and you're not in Canada, so you won't be able to do that. The max you'd be able to do is $1.25 or
no,
$1.50.
do $5.
You could probably you could probably find one of these machines that accepted bills instead of
Right.
coins. But like
Yeah, but
I googled this and went to the shop, and that's what I found.
No, I just want to bring this up because you're mentioning this, but my friend gave me,
The
$4.
average person does not walk around with an American dollar coin, bro.
Well, you know what? Guess what? They can go to
Because you
the
got
local
4 of
bank.
them doesn't mean
I know, but I'm saying, but
you
if you get
also
the average
want it
bank,
so a person can reach into their pocket and fucking pull out the
Well,
money.
you could also have, like you said before, the different vending machines for coins.
yeah,
You want dollar coins, you want quarters, that sort of thing. I'm sure that could be arranged as well.
yeah.
Or you just have a shit ton of rolled up quarters and
Yeah.
Susan B's or whatever.
Well, honestly, if you're doing like whatever the most recent release is, or we'll buy your collection and parse out the crap,
Mhm.
do you really care if you're selling a random card for 75 cents or 50 cents or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like I'll buy your magic collection
Yeah.
for $30, and I'll take out the stuff I want to sell that's worth money to make more, and then
Mhm.
just parse the rest out in one of these things.
Yeah, because I don't like the idea of having employees rifling through the stacks of cards, or watching the customer rifle through the stacks of cards. Uh,
Yeah.
Hey,
I've seen too much loss that way, and you can never track it down.
well,
Yeah.
So,
well, well, this is why you and your wife are the only ones that are employed there. Yeah,
Well,
Mhm.
that's a good way to kill a business in the long term.
not
Uh,
really. When you're done with the business, you sell it off to someone else, and
yeah, but you don't really have growth in that, right?
you,
yeah,
you
exactly what you're saying, Justin. At some point, you have to have employees for different things, and if they're in the shop, and they're even remotely unhappy, stuff will start disappearing. Maybe it's
well,
not
Yeah.
the
well,
stuff you think, but it will start to disappear.
well.
Yeah.
Again, that's why you put them over in the food area. You put them over in the other areas.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
why in the world have the employees going through that? It's like you handle that. And let's be honest, you're probably going to break even when it starts coming to a lot of these things. Most people I know do it, like you said,
GM
out of love.
Cody.
Dude, we were just talking about you, man. I only liked the video about your new game. I'm going to go watch the video after the show, but it sounds right up my alley. And uh, someone wanted to invite you to the radio show if you're up for something like that. Just saying we can talk later because they were impressed with your knowledge on a good number of topics. So hit
Yeah.
me up in Discord or something like that, or I'll get a hold of you later. But the game you just popped out, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you picked the right time because we're 10 minutes over. My my device here, my laptop is about to die. I'm at like
So,
oh
so
six.
here's the real question, Shadow. Where are you planning on moving to if you're gonna move here to Texas? Which
I don't know.
city?
It's got to be within. I want it to be within relatively easy driving distance of Reaper, the Reaper factory in Denton.
Oh,
Uh,
then that's gonna be pretty far north.
but I mean, driving distance can be 2 hours. I don't want it to be like 6 or 8. But then again, who knows?
So,
By then, Reaper might not even exist. You
so
know,
for me, Denton's about 3 hours north. Houston's about 3 hours. San Antonio's about 3 hours, 2.5 to 3
but
hours.
but but don't think I don't want to be close to you and
Yeah.
Brian and some of our other friends out there, Bruce and Josh, etc. Because I do want to see them as regular faces in the shop.
Oh no,
Uh,
no, I understand that. I'm just saying that it depends where you want. Austin is about an hour and a half from San Antonio and about 3 hours south of
yeah, I don't see me
Dallas
wanting
Fort
to
Worth.
live in Austin. Just saying.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, but there's a lot of different. Depends on where you want to. But if you're going to be on somewhere, it's good to be on I-35, somewhere along that strip. And if you want to be in the middle, but like Waco would probably be. I think that's an hour and a half. That's about an hour and a half to Austin. About an hour and a half to.
Don't move to Waco. You don't want to wake up with a cop on your roof looking through the sunlight.
I was waiting for a joke, but Justin, you never fail.
That's only if you go to Twin Peaks.
Oh,
Yeah, that's only if you go to Twin Peaks. I was trying to explain that, but no. But you got that, and then you've got like where I am.
where
It's
were you
about
during the '90s?
half an hour from. It's about half an hour from the military base, which is always good. Uh,
Hmm.
there's not.
Yeah,
There's an hour north of Austin, about an hour, about 45 minutes south of Waco. Um,
Yeah, another good reason to have like regular events, especially on the weekends. If it's going to be like a drive to, certain places, certain cities and whatnot, then it stands to reason to make it like, kind of like a good reason to go there. And weekends. Sure, I don't mind people running games during the week, but I could see it being busier on the weekends and the more,
sure.
you know.
Comic
I
Con going on right now where I am.
yeah, I don't know, man. The game shop I went to, they had 3 full-size Warhammer tables, right, at the back of the shop, and you know, between 4 in the afternoon and closing at 9, there would be a game at each one of those tables,
Mhm.
So, from personal experience
and
seeing the
people just
Warhammer,
standing around and watching.
the
So
problem with Warhammer is if you're going to get anything from them, is all of the hoops you have to jump through for. It's just generally not worth getting the Warhammer
No,
stuff.
no. What's but speaking of
no, but I'm like talking about like they're gaming tables. Those are people that are like bringing their armies in.
yeah,
Uh,
I got no
maybe they
problem.
buy their
But they're
paints
not
from
buying
you.
from you. Is the point I'm trying to make? Unless
No,
they're
but you
buying.
can have
That's
other
fine.
games,
Sure.
available, and
Yeah, and they're always
they
going
are
to
buying the
right.
like the drinks and the stuff like that. And
Sure.
That's fine. Funny thing is though, our local GW is closed on Mondays and Tuesdays
yeah,
because
That's because they
nobody's.
only have one employee.
Well, no,
yeah,
it's because they also have lots of people coming in on the weekends, but Monday and Tuesday not so much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no,
yeah,
but I mean, but they probably also have that one employee, and he has to get the 2 days off. Whereas
Hmm.
yeah,
GW used to have a bit more, but I don't know. But
yeah.
I have a friend of mine that owns a store in San Antonio, or at least he used to. I don't know if he still does. And he said all of the things that he had to go through for the GW is just to
Oh yeah,
clean
yeah.
the
I'm not even
Yeah,
interested in carrying even their paints. If I do
yeah.
sell stuff, it'll be because I bought it myself elsewhere, and it's like uh,
Taking it in trade or whatever,
mm,
or you're buying someone's old army and
the
you're
the
selling it off for
yep,
bits.
the, the only other issue I have with a lot of
But there are
the
other games, right?
but the other
absolutely.
issue I have with gaming tables is you have to have a lot of terrain that takes up a lot of space.
I
Well,
don't
I
know,
already
man.
figured on.
The tables where I was at, like there was that, but most of the time there was just laid out for desert, laid out for other desert, and laid out for jungle, and that's all they ever got used as.
Oh no, no, the ones I've been to have had
Yeah,
like walls worth of
Yeah, I was planning on
terrain.
just
you could
lining
do
one.
that, but
I
I'm
was going to
just
line
saying.
one wall with glass cases, lockable glass cases, and you kind of got to sign in and out for the terrain. And if
Maybe rent those for like $5 a set or whatever. But like the tables are
thanks,
preset
thanks,
for
Cody.
whatever, and you can have the guy change it out for a small cost or whatever.
But I mean, the ones I saw is you could just grab the stuff, but generally people didn't
Yeah.
take things away from it just because it's too much carrying your army and then trying to carry terrain out. So
Yep,
it
yep.
Yeah.
was always
And
Well, I'm just saying like that could be a thing and like a really low cost for the really
right,
nice stuff or
and
whatever.
not only loan the terrain out, but also offer it for sale. It's like, oh, you really like this terrain? You want to take it home? Okay, here you
$10.
go. Yep, yep.
Uh,
But I got to hit the road, guys. My tablet's now
yeah.
at 3%.
all right.
I will see you guys both tomorrow. Crafting, thanks again. You did a bang up job. If you have any more topics, let me know. Also, anybody out there, if there's any sci-fi topics you'd like to talk about,
We're not doing sex bots.
no, I wasn't really planning on that. It's just,
Oh.
but thanks again, guys. This was fun. I will see you guys tomorrow at the game table. If not, have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday on Jefferson Show,
Yeah.
9 a.m. PST, otherwise known as what?
Real time.
Yeah.
Eastern Standard or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Real time. Yeah, real time.
All right, guys. Happy trails.